Oh shit, that camera crooked. Oh shit. Camera is crooked as hell today. We just gonna rock with it. We gonna lean with it and rock with it. It's gonna be a crooked ass day. But all right, let's get this thing started. Damn it, I hate that that's crooked like that. But before I roll the intro, just want to let it be known. Nick Anderson, who says, "Good morning to the Go Along, Get Along gang, where anything Obsidian, Kevin Samuels, or O'Shea says is the gospel." I'm going to be going in on that comment right after we get back. We'll be going in on that comment. But in the meantime, let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
All right. We are back in here. I'm sitting here looking at this camera. Nope, I'm not gonna do it. We gonna lean with it and rock with it, even though it's annoying the hell out of me. But whenever I try to fix the camera on the air, it never. It's almost like whatever I got when I start, that's what I got to roll with. But shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to the early bird squads, those that make it in bright and early before we even get things going, before we even get things started. Shout out to, let me just acknowledge the first comments, Queen Q in the building. Shout out to you, Logan JJ. He says, "What is pandering to women for 500, Alex?" Absolutely. Nick Anderson in the building. Shout out to you and that comment that I will address right here in the beginning of the show. Give me one quick second, dotting the I and crossing the T, but we're about to get this thing going. All right. Nick Anderson says, welcome to the Go Along, Get Along gang, where anything Obsidian, Kevin Samuels, or O'Shea says is gospel. If that is true, then why is there so much debate in this space? If we're a Go Along, Get Along gang, where everybody just comes in with their eyes closed and their mouth open, what is the party line? What are we talking about today? What are the views, beliefs, and values? You tell us what to think. If that was the case, that we were a bunch of mindless zombies who somebody else told us what to think, there wouldn't be that much debate in this space. It wouldn't be that many arguments. It would just be an echo chamber. This is not an echo chamber. Right now, as I speak, Amir is going in on somebody who was making a case that why men should be getting married. Ramil is making the opposite case. Kevin Samuels is a strong proponent of marriage. But people in this space who have worked with Kevin Samuels and done business with Kevin Samuels are 100% vehemently against him when it comes to marriage, which shows that this isn't a space where everybody just goes along to get along and just agrees. The manosphere itself is, I don't want to call it counterculture, but it's definitely a subculture. It definitely goes against the mainstream. So no mainstream movement can be called the go along, get along gang. No, everybody else is going along and getting along, and we're the ones bucking the system. You can't call those that buck the system to go along, get along, whatever this person says is gospel, when everybody else is walking around like sheep. Doesn't work that way. It's a good spin move. It's a good tactic. It's a good way to try to make it seem like we're something that we're not, so you can mount a BS straw man argument. Well played, good job, nice try. But it wouldn't be that much debate in this space if everybody just blindly agreed. You've seen Obsidian come on my show and get argued down by me. And he's the one that sort of opened the door for me to be, well, I mean, I can word it that way. He's the one who technically opened the door for me in this space. I can word it that way. It was some more nuance to it, and I had to put my work in. But yeah, my connection with Obsidian is what got me in the algorithm, because being connected with Obsidian, that's what got Kevin Samuels on my show before he blew up. That's what drew Angry Man and ARC and all the big names in. So as connected as I am to Obsidian, how I can't even write the history of my channel without referencing Obsidian. I still went to war with him and disagreed with him very hard on a lot of points. People have come on this platform and have disagreed and went to war with Obsidian on a lot of points. So to try to argue that this is a space where whatever one person says goes, that's far from that. Some have argued that it would be better if we did just get more uniformed and all thought the same way. But as it's been stated, black men trying to get black men to get on one accord is like herding cats. So no, that statement will not fly here. Oh shit. That statement, got a little punk ass plastic spoon that I'm stirring my coffee with. Hold on. That statement will not fly here, sir. Will not fly here. Hell, I be disagreeing with O'Shea on a lot of stuff. Everybody be disagreeing with everybody. But we work together and get it done and get the job done. Celine Fraudima in the building. Shout out to you. Keith XRP Junkie. Shout out to you. And yes, I'm always late. There's going to be a lot of triggered Christians and black women with this one. Perhaps. At least that's the goal. That's the goal. That is the goal. Get them nice and triggered. In the building. Hebrews in the Hood. That's a good movie. That's a Spike Lee joint all day. That is a Spike Lee joint all day. Hebrews in the hood. Absolutely. Why do all the trolls have pictureless accounts? That's sort of the name of the game. Hey, I be patting my forehead like I do it on purpose when I start patting like that. It's really a joke. I could just wipe it, but I do that for entertainment purposes. I do the pat. I do the pat. I do that for y'all entertainment, man. I do that for y'all entertainment. But yeah. But shout out to everybody in the building. Jonathan Barronville charging me up with choosing violence this morning. Perhaps I have chosen violence. But no, I'm glad to be on the air. Shout out to Ramil Lamir. He did a stream that I was thinking about doing a similar stream to him because he was responding to, I believe the guy name is Aaron. He's a part of the Lapeef network. I was hoping the guy actually came up on Ramil's panel. It don't look like that's going to happen. But I was sitting there watching, hoping that the dude showed up. But no, Ramil just went in on him. It's a lot of things that he said. He was basically criticizing the red pill space for its stance against marriage. I actually talked about marriage very briefly on my last show. And look, and I only support marriage in the sense that I support family because family is important. Men being the patriarchal leaders of their families is important. Men raising their children, that is very important. So whatever has to be done to get families to work out so men are in a position of control and power in their family. I know that makes Zero cringe every time I say that because he say you don't have no power because you can go down to the court. Well, is what it is. But either way it go, I do the outcomes of men raising children is valuable. That is the only degree in which I am supportive of marriage, state sanctioned or non-state sanctioned. I mean, if there's a way to get it done, get it done. If there's a way to have men being the leaders, patriarchal leaders of their families, patriarchy matters. Nobody trademarked that, but patriarchy matters. And so that's the degree in which I'm for marriage. But everything else is some bull. When they try to make every other argument, I some of it, okay, that sounds decent. I hear the arguments that they start trying to make. Okay, well, men who are married make more money. Well, yeah, women are more likely to want to marry a man that makes more money, and men are more likely to want to get married and raise children and start a family when they make enough money to take care of one. So you can't, it's like a cart before the horse argument. Like I just explained why I think just families in general are a good thing, but the overall, I don't like when men get gaslit. All right. I don't like when men get gaslit. There was a lot of gaslight in there, but I'm not going to dig the thing that even upset me more when I was listening to that. I said Aaron, I meant Anton. I'm sorry. See, I don't be knowing these people's name. But I watched Edward Anderson go in on a stream that the Anton guy did, and I watched Ramil go in on it this morning, and they did a great job. What I hate, what I have a strong disdain and dislike for, I don't like when people, and I'm going to get into the main topic, just be patient. I don't like when people try to make it seem as if the red pill space is the men who are out here reckless, serial impregnating, hobosexual couch surfing. Like don't make it seem like that's the red pill space. Like out of all the great many spin moves they've tried to pull, like that's the most recent one right there, where it started out that, okay, these are a bunch of incels, losers that can't get no pussy. That's where it started out at. And the guys who are out there serial impregnating or just out, out smashing a bunch of women and all of that. They referred to anybody who complained as incels and losers. And now I think that debate has been lost. They've lost that debate. And so now this new spin move is now they're trying to say that anybody who has a critique of women, now these are the people who these are the guys who are out dealing with these out of pocket, crazy, ratchet for the streets women. In fact, they're creating these for the streets women, and then they're complaining about the results from these for the streets women. So are we a bunch of incels who can't get no ass, or are we a bunch of broke homosexuals? Because that was essentially his argument. That's what the red pill. That's what the red pill is. That was the argument that the guy Anton was making. And then the multiple attempts to try to conflate money, being rich, and being married, trying to conflate the two. And he did it in a fallacious way. We can understand and wrap our mind around a successful man getting to a certain level of success in wanting to start a family. We can wrap our mind around that. And yes, a lot of people in the red pill space say, no, that's stupid. You're setting yourself up for failure. And what I say to that, it is a part of the nature of some men that they want to provide. They want to take care of the family. They want to have children. They want to do all of that. That is in the nature. That part is to some degree unavoidable. What I don't like and where the gaslight comes in is when they try to make it seem as if getting married is going to make you rich and successful. No, you could get rich and successful without being married. Where marriage does help financially is if you're not rich and successful, but you have a solid income and you marry somebody with a solid income. Y'all put it together and then y'all work together and y'all grow. Y'all can grow. Yeah, y'all can do that. But somebody like Ramil, who talked about all his real estate holdings and everything he got, like he was able to get that without a woman. There's no evidence that getting a woman is going to help you own more real estate. Getting with a woman or working with a woman is just as much evidence that they may detract from you doing some things because you got somebody else that you're worrying about. You got somebody else who could be a potential liability. So it goes both ways. What I would say, you can be single and make the right decisions and live your best. You could be single and you could be Theo, or you can be married and you can be, Anton, or you could be single and be Ramil, or you could be married and be, I'm sure Gabe A is doing well financially. There's multiple ways to win. So let's not gaslight men. The argument for marriage and family it starts right there. Do you value family? Do you value having a family? Do you value your kids being born into a structured situation? Can you get that structured situation without a state-sanctioned contract? Of course you can. Now, it becomes statistically hard to measure it. That's where I run into a problem where those that say that, I don't got to be married in order to be the patriarchal leader of my home. And then when we actually try to look at those that aren't married and we got the stats on deck in the manosphere. Shout out to Kevin Samuels when he called it the MCU, man-centric universe. There are some people who probably fall into that yellow portion. Hopefully y'all can see all of that just fine. Yeah, y'all can see that because I'm looking at it on my tablet and I can see it. That yellow portion in the middle of cohabitating Black people. Maybe it's some people that fall in there that are doing just fine. But those people who are in that cohabitating state, they slide in and out of that pink area as well. But then again, married people in a different fashion slide in and out of that as well too. But overall, I don't like gaslighting arguments towards men. There is a case. There is a good case to be made as to why in this modern time some men shouldn't get married. And there's a case to be made why why an individual man might want to do it. And I understand that. And I do understand that. But it's a BS argument to try to say that those that have thought about it, charted it out, ran the numbers, did all the math, and have come to the conclusion that, hey, this is not this is not the best idea on earth anymore. I don't like when they gaslight those men. I don't like when those I don't like the gaslighting. I really don't like that. And that was a gaslight fest. That was a gaslight fest. You ain't married, you a low vibrational bum who's out serial impregnating and now causing all of these ills and these problems that y'all are complaining about. Come on. As if the red pill isn't the subculture that talks about how men avoid not just the marriage problems, but the dealing with women not married problems. The red pill space talks about how to get all of that right, how to get all of that done. So don't do a stream called The Red Pill is Lying to You. That's just some bull. Don't do a stream on that. Understand that there's fine arguments on both sides. And there's legitimate argument. There's legitimate arguments on both sides. And autofocus is wilding. I meant to turn that off. In fact, I will get up and do that, but I know if I adjust that camera, y'all gonna see me if I try to straighten out the camera, y'all gonna see me wrestling with it forever. So I'm not gonna do that. But I am going to play with that autofocus. I am about to do that. So give me 1 second. 1 second. One second on that. A couple people just walked out the door. That's better. No autofocus coming in and out. That's better. All right. There. Took care of the autofocus. All right. Let's all right, that's enough of my riff on the pre-topic. About to dive into the main topic, if you give me a second here. I want to pull up something that was actually hard for me to find, but I did find it. The actual clip of Creflo Dollar actually talking about Kevin Samuels. It was an hour and a half video where he talked about him very briefly. I was kind of not disappointed, not the right word, but a lot of people made a big deal about it, rightfully so. But the big deal that was made about it, I thought he talked about him for more or for longer than that, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, I thought he really went in. And damn it, I can't find it. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm about to play the actual clip, the actual video. I know a lot of people haven't exactly seen it because it's, It was small, brief, and buried into a 1 hour and a half live stream. And now I'm having a very hard time finding the video. Where might it be? I had people email it to me and now it's disappeared. Give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, I know I got it on here. I apologize. Yeah, I thought it was going in. They sent it to a different email. They sent it to the wrong email. Well, not the wrong email. They sent it to the email I told them to, but for some reason that email is not here, but the email is here. So therefore, I just got to send it to the other email that I can access from this computer, and we shall be in business. We should be in business real soon. Give me 1 second. Because I do want to play the clip. Before we get anything going and go any further here. Shout out to Dr. Thunder in the building. Says get the likes up. Absolutely. Y'all get the likes up. Let me make sure that I hit the like. Yeah, I did hit the like button. Y'all know I forget to like my own stuff sometimes. But all right, now we should be in business. Now we should be in business. All right, here we go. There we go.
You have not been born again, and you say, Pastor Dollar, today I am ready.
Don't want to get fair use in this joint.
That's love.
No, David Carroll did make a compelling argument that that this whole sermon was actually about Kevin Samuels. I don't know for sure if that's accurate, but I understood the point that he was trying to make. But the part that he only talked about Kevin Samuels was very brief. And we're about to play that so everybody can see it if you didn't see it. And then we're going to go and get right into it.
People have wandered from the faith by following such foolishness. May God's grace be with you all. Look at this in the other version. These things are happening, man. These things are going to come to pass. You know what you should be sitting there thinking about? Life as I know it is coming to an end. So I'm going to die or to be changed. In other words, when all this stuff happens, what's going to happen to me? Oh, Timothy, guard the deposit entrusted to you. Avoid the irreverent babble and contradictions of what is falsely called knowledge. For by professing it, some have swerved from the faith. And he said, grace be with you.
See, this is why David Carroll said that low key this whole time, because he haven't mentioned Kevin Samuels yet. But he, if you listen to what he's saying, it's like he building up towards it. He building up to it.
You got to be careful who you listen to. You got to be careful who you listen to. Taffy was showing me about, some guy on television just insulting women, and he's becoming popular because women are so desperate for the truth. They're looking at this so-called knowledge.
And as other people has pointed out, that's the funniest part right there. You know who Kevin Samuels is. I had to say the same thing with Derrick Jaxn. When Derrick Jackson was pretending to not know who Kevin Samuels is, I was like, no, you know. You know. That's always funny to me. That don't stop being funny when somebody tries to pretend like they're above it. I'm so high, my head so high in the heavens and preaching this gospel. I don't keep up with this little stuff. Now you know exactly who he is, and you know the market share over the hearts and minds of the women that you walk around on a leash. Okay, that was looking. Well, JB said I chose violence today. JB said I chose violence today. Yes, it is free advertising for Kevin Samuels. It all. I mean, he don't say his name, but it's still free. Technically.
And the whole bottom line is, if you want to marry a millionaire, then you got to be this kind of way to marry a millionaire. How do you sit up there and listen to somebody insult you? Is it that bad? Well, I got to try something because I got to get a man. You know you can do bad all by yourself, right? You don't need a man to do bad by yourself.
There it is. There it is. That is the Derrick Jackson playbook if I've never seen it. That's the Derrick Jackson playbook if I've never seen it. Where these guys, they want to keep women single. He don't want her following the leadership of a man. No, he want her single, making her little 40K in an air-conditioned cubicle and giving him 10% of it. And he wants an army of them giving him 10% of it so he can get their money. He don't want their hearts, minds, thoughts, ideas, and everything and all of that. He don't want that going somewhere else. He don't want their attention and their focus to be going somewhere else or on something else or doing anything like that. He just pulled right out of that Derrick Jackson playbook to where, like when Derrick Jackson was responding to Kevin Samuels, okay? And shout out to people. I see people in the chat. Yes, just so provider that community applause. They applauded that. That was worthy of an applause. But when Derrick Jackson was responding to Kevin Samuels, if you remember correctly, it was as simple as this. He was basically saying that, I'm paraphrasing, that essentially you have to be, if you're determined that you want to get what you want, you're gonna have to be okay with being single. You can't have your standards and your goals and what you want and what you want to get from a man and still also not be happy single. You know, you got to be happy single. You got to stay single. You got to be by yourself. You got to be by yourself so I can sell you self-love. What Creflo Dollar is doing is different. He's not telling them to be by themselves so he can sell them self-love. He want them by themselves so he can sell them Jesus as their man. That's, or him as the man. I ain't trying to go all the way there with David Carroll. But no, that's essentially what they want to do. That's what they're trying to do. And they're sitting there with no men in the church, but telling women to do bad all by themselves. Now, why is this man telling women that men are bad and should be by yourself? But then the red pill space, going back to what I was talking about in the little pre-ramble, the red pill space is the one who's anti-marriage. The red pill space is the one that's against women. The red pill space is the one that don't care about women, that hate women. That's the argument that gets thrown out there. But those who come from this space, like they're the ones that love women and respect women and all of this, and they're the ones with the message that's the most detrimental to women. When you understand that, you understand the game. Shout out to Hood Conservative Culture and Politics Review. He says the manosphere is its own church. We can't go to their church. You read in my mind to some degree. Later on tonight, actually at 10 o'clock tonight, because the brother, Mr. 1950, he's on the West Coast. I'm going to be on his show at 7 o'clock. And when I signed up, I was thinking 7 my time, but then actually no, it's 10 o'clock at night. So I'll be up late on a stream with him. Hopefully just get 1 hour in and 1 hour out. I ain't trying to be up to midnight. But I mean, I'll be up to midnight. I'm not trying to be on the air to midnight. So hopefully I get in and out. But I got to shout out him and credit him on this. He said the manosphere is the church of Black patriarchy. That's what he called it. And I'm going to trademark that on his ass. The church of Black patriarchy. I'm going to trademark that on him. But yeah. And that's the truth. And that's what it is. It's actually serving men. It's giving men what they want. It's giving men what they need. It's giving men what they are looking for. And the Black church does not do that. There are no men there. It's just women and children in there. And the women who get knocked up by men who Anton is not, I'm talking to Anton now, though, non-red pill men, because red pill men are working to not fall into those traps. There are some red pill men that have made some mistakes, no doubt. You can't charge up those who are serial impregnating women as being red pill. If you out there that reckless with your seed, I can't say that you're red pill. You're reckless. You probably got some game. You probably got some swag. You know how to talk some panties off, but that don't mean you red pill. It just means you got some good Mac game, probably. I don't know. But we're not going to call that red pill, because if you're red pill, yeah, you are aware. You know what's out there. You know the dangers. So these women who are getting knocked up by these men, they sitting on the front row of the church with babies, and pastor's okay with it, telling them that they can do bad by themselves. Is he? I mean, I've read the Bible, but I know I'm no Christian. But you still got to ask: is that a biblical message? What he said right there? Is that a biblical message? Is that consistent with what he's supposed to be upholding? And he preaching the message on, I believe, the end times, if I'm not mistaken. The behavior and character of the last. Oh my goodness, hold on. That's what the message was about. The behavior and the character of the last day society. You know they're reaching when they can preach a sermon on the last days. And granted, and listen, I'm not trying to go all the way there on y'all, because I know some of y'all, some of y'all are devout believers. I'm not trying to go all the way on there on y'all, but they've been talking about the last days for some time now. He actually addressed that in his sermon. He said, well, Jesus can't come back because he's waiting on you to get saved, as if that's biblical. It's like these dudes can sit there in the mega church and just say anything, because it's like they just know that most of their flock not reading. Like they could just sit there and say anything. So here we go. This dude, he just said anything, preaching a sermon about the last days. They reaching that hard to where a sermon about the last days, he didn't warped Kevin Samuels in it. Oh, you got to be careful with what you're listening to, because these are the last days, and there's going to be people with false knowledge and false teachings, and this guy on TV, you know, he's on the internet. This guy on TV talking about how to get a millionaire. And if you're listening, which you are, you know he's talking about more than that. He's talking about women following the leadership of the man that they qualify for. And when you know and understand that, you know and understand your power is diminished. You know and understand that they're not following your leadership. The only man he wants them technically following is the man who's sitting in his pew that's following him. A man that's not in his pew, that's not following him, they what the hell? He said these are the last days, established 1955. Is that a thing? I don't know what that is. Shout out to JB. That Creflo literally told the sisterhood of failure, you don't need a man. That's music to their ears. Yeah. How? I don't know how that works from a religious standpoint or a biblical standpoint. And I'm not claiming to be the Bible expert, but I don't know how that works where you can sit there in a church, Bible in hand, telling women that they don't need a man. I don't know how you scripturally can substantiate that at all. Not even almost. Not even slightly in the least bit. But when you look at somebody, and this speaks to the power of this whole social media. It speaks to the power of it. Like that part you really can't get around. It speaks to the power of social media, how people can create a platform. How Kevin Samuels created that platform, built that platform, and now he's reaching more people than Creflo Dollar can reach. He's reaching more people. I love it. I love it. That's why I say there's no negative in what Kevin Samuels is doing. People who got little critiques here, critiques there. Is overall no. The net positive is so strong, overwhelming. That's why I was glad when I could see Kevin Samuels taking over market share of Derrick Jackson's audience, and then Derrick Jackson shot himself in the foot when he was blowing up in that way, and Derrick Jaxn tried to do a similar rebuttal that what Creflo Dollar did. He tried to do a similar rebuttal, and he failed, and he lost. The red pill machine just kept charging forward. It kept charging forward, and it was nothing that they could do about it. Because it's not, you can't cancel it like it's network TV. Now YouTube could pull the plug on it. So some work does need to be done to make sure that we got platforms off-site platforms. Stuff like that is in the works. Don't worry. It's coming. But overall, the win is so strong right now. He said KS responded to Dollar. Oh yeah. And Kevin Samuels going to do it in his own way. Well, he does it in his own way. He don't give somebody the satisfaction of making a whole stream with their name and face in the title and all of that. He don't do that, but he did respond. He did his regular show, but he just slipped in. He slipped in the Creflo Dollar response and did it quite well. Did it quite well and broke it down quite well. Nah, he didn't have Hit 'Em Up playing in the background. He could have though. He was definitely hitting them. He was definitely hitting them. But what I want to talk about is the ramifications of red pill talking points overtaking the conversation to the point to where the Derrick Jacksons of the world has had to take a back seat. And now the pastor is like Kevin Samuels just running through him like he facing the like he about to face the final boss pretty soon. It's like, man. But the ramifications of that, of red pill talking points. Yes, red pill. Yes, he's for marriage. I know some people in the red pill aren't with that. Some people are. I always point out that the three heads of the manosphere, you know, that's Angry Man, O'Shea, Obsidian. They're all for marriage, if I understand it right. Just maybe some nuance on, you know, state sanctioned or not. Paul G. Paul Game trademark. He says Obama is the final boss. So, yeah. Oh shoot, that's a good one. You have to sit down with Obama. Obama gonna get him straightened out. Obama gonna get Kevin Samuels straightened out. That's how it's gonna work. Obama gonna respond to him, and that's when it's all gonna get shut down. Thank you, Lisa D, saying hit the like button. Yes, yeah, hit the like button. But yeah, Obama is the final boss. Yeah, when Obama respond to him, we got a problem then. We legit got a problem when Obama respond to him. We ain't gonna be able to clap back on that one. It's gonna be time to bend the knee at that one. It's can't go to war with Obama. Oh man. But for those that was more curious about the sermon, I think that was pretty much all he said about Kevin Samuels. You have to really watch it and listen to get subtle context throughout the sermon, where it's like, he's building up to talking about Kevin Samuels. But like right now, see, he about to, after he made that statement, he about to just go into some more end of days rhetoric and in a altar call or something like that.
You got to have some value about you.
You're using the term value, high value. And Kevin Samuels talk about them adding value. What value do they add? Kevin Samuels talks about that.
This thing come to a close. Number 5, I got 37 seconds.
Yeah, that was it. That was all he said about Kevin Samuels. So I was a little disappointed about that part right there. I was a little disappointed because when everybody talked about it, I thought he went in more, but he just went in a little bit. But you got to be surgical to really listen to the whole sermon and come to the conclusion that he was low-key referencing Kevin Samuels his whole time. Silent Lamont in the building. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. Where is it? I got too much stuff in here now.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
Shout out to Silent Lamont. He says they gonna die alone watching Murder, She Wrote. Oh yeah. One thing that I don't like is when people will straw man the manosphere or the red pill space. Like, yeah, I want women to die alone. If anything, the red pill space is giving the information that would save them from dying alone. And it's people like this, like Creflo, like Derrick Jaxn, who's giving the opposite information that would lead to them dying alone. You can't charge up to people who's putting out the who's accurately describing the problem and what's going to happen. You can't paint them as the bad guy. Now, yes, a lot of us in the red pill space proudly wear the banner of the villain, but sometimes the villain is right. Sometimes the villain is right. But those who they speak so highly of, they'll pull out Umar. They used to follow Derrick Jackson. I think they still follow Derrick Jackson pretty tough on the other platforms. I'm pretty sure they still do, but on YouTube he's deteriorating. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But so he's dying a slow death on YouTube. But rather we talking about Derrick Jackson, Creflo Dollar, Umar Jackson. Those are people who benefit. Damn, Derrick Jackson down to an even 700K subs. He's down to an even 700K subs. I think he was at 750,000 at the time that it happened. Yeah. 700K subs. He was at 7. Damn it, I forgot what he was at. He was at like 740 or 730, 740. I think he's lost probably like 50K subs. He said, "My dad, who's a preacher, literally laughs at the notion of a pastor telling his female flock that they don't need a man. My dad wasn't familiar with him and asked me, 'Is this a Christian church?'" Yeah, it's getting to that point. It is no doubt getting to that point where it's not even resembling a Christian church at this point. No resemblance. Vital talking points says, "My opinion is that single women make up a large portion of the church money." That's not an opinion, that's a fact. That is a fact. We know that women that make up, I think. Okay, let me pump the brakes on calling it a fact, because I don't know if anybody's ever actually did any formal research on that. But we know that women make up, we know anecdotally from going from church to church and just looking with our own eyes. Yes, it's normally like 80% women in the church. It was one church that I knew of that had 50% men. And that was a big deal that they had 50% men, like a really big deal. And the pastor at the church that I used to go to many moons ago, when I used to go to church, he used to talk about it all the time. This church that was just a shining star, because he understood the importance of having men there, but he didn't really address the issues as to why men weren't there. But the church I used to go to, it was like a little mini mega church, could hold a few thousand people. And it was basically, out of the few thousand people they could hold, it was about 80% women. The only men were there. Put it like this: these are the only men at church. This is unfortunate. It's sad, but you get the married men, you get some married men at church, and you get I hate to say it, but the gay ones. Oh, and young men who still got to go because mama still got influence on them. But yeah, you don't get one thing you just don't see at the church. You don't see a whole lot of straight single men at church. You don't see it. The church ain't giving them what they need, and I do believe the manosphere fills that void. The manosphere is the black church. A shout out to Mr. 1950, the church of black patriarchy. I love that. Love when he said that. Drew M in the building says, "Went to my hometown church about a month ago. 30 people total. 6 were men, and 4, including me, was married." Yeah. Logan JJ says, BR forgot to start the show. It's going to be a great show. Oh, you think I just did the countdown? No, I did that because I had to go get up and tinker around with the camera a little bit. So I just gave y'all just a little countdown just so y'all wasn't listening to dead air when I got up to go play with the camera. That's all that was. No big deal there. No big deal there. But no, we've gotten to the point where red pill talking points have hit home hard enough to where people are starting to see the former good guys as the villain. Like that Batman quote, you live long enough to see yourself become the villain, or something like that. That's what's happening to to a lot of these guys. A lot of the women who used to just eat out of their hand are starting to hear their message for what it is, and started looking at the results of their message, and they're taking a different route, a different detour. Now, I don't know if Creflo Dollar is losing anything, if he's dying, if he's falling off. But we do know one thing that we can kind of tell this. I don't got numbers to prove it yet, and you know how we are about the numbers in this space. We about getting the numbers. But that is becoming a relic. That is becoming a thing of the past. It is getting to the point where people can outshine. Listen, like we could do a breakdown. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, Lisa D in the building just sent a super sticker. Appreciate that. They're fighting for a piece of it because they understand that they're potentially a dying breed, so to speak. I think they understand that. And they understand it to the point to where they have to mount responses to people that came out of this space. That is huge. And it does not, it don't, well, it can't get bigger than that. But that is huge. And people that don't understand that, and I'll say it, I'll sum it up like this. And Kevin Samuels is spot on. Oh wait, hold on, silently. I didn't read a super chat of yours. Oh no, I didn't. No, I agree 100% with that one. Trust me, that it's some super chats I will not read on purpose. But no, that ain't one of them. I agree with that one. The church has become a support group for old vagina. Absolutely.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
Absolutely. No, we in agreement on that one. Ain't nothing to debate there. But Kevin Samuels did make a really strong point when Kevin Samuels responded to Creflo Dollar, and he said that essentially that when he explained that when you're coming after him, meaning Kevin Samuels said, when you're coming after me, you're not coming after me, you're coming after the men. And that's a key point. That's a hard point. It's like men have stood up, men are talking, men are getting their views, their ideas, their thoughts, their perspective, their opinions out there. And they're out there now. And you can't pull them back. You can't pretend like they don't exist. It's almost like it's a new world order. And they're fighting with it. They're trying to keep up the old guard. That's what they're doing. That's what they're fighting to do. But changes are coming. Changes are coming. But the comparison with Creflo Dollar and Derrick Jaxn, oh yeah, almost forgot this point. I was about to drop the link in the chat. I almost forgot this point. People were saying that Derrick Jaxn was just a pastor. Right? This goes back to Nicole Michelle. When she was talking about, she was calling him Pastor Derrick Jaxn or Reverend Derrick Jaxn or something like that. And it was rumored that basically Derrick Jaxn is, I think he had some kind of deal with TD Jakes that probably fell through. I don't know if that's still going on. I don't know if that's still a thing. But we're talking about how Derrick Jaxn could just flip this thing and just be a pastor. And it's going full circle now where the pastor, the person that we were saying that Derrick Jaxn needs to go and try to be, that person who's already doing it, Creflo Dollar, is now responding to Kevin Samuels with the same arguments that Derrick Jaxn had. Like that, to me, that's mind blowing. That's astonishing. That can't be understated. That can't be understated. That the same that the same exact thing that Derrick Jaxn was trying to respond with, Creflo Dollar is coming right from that same playbook. Right from that same playbook. And we understand. Well, David Carroll's been on it, but even people who talk about it understate or don't quite hit the nail on the head on how much influence the black pastor has over the black community. David Carroll been hitting it on the head with this just amazingly. How if you got the mind of the black woman, just take the collective of the black pastors, taking them as just a collective group. The black pastor has the mind of the black women. The black women have the mind of the children. You influence the black pastor, influences and puts the propaganda into the head of the black women. The black women put that head and put that information into the heads of the children. You ultimately control the minds of the community. They're seeing with this social media thing, especially with the explosion of Kevin Samuels, that they're losing a piece of that control. They're losing they're losing grip on some of that, and they see it and they know it. And that's what they're battling against. But the link is in the chat. Creflo isn't responding. The gynocracy is. He says Creflo isn't. Shout out to Black Sword. Appreciate the $2. Appreciate the $2, $1, $2, $3.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
What do you mean by Creflo isn't responding? The gynocracy is. Are you saying the gynocracy is just coming out of him? The gynocracy is oozing out of his pores? Like, what do you mean Creflo isn't responding? The gynocracy is. Creflo bombed first. Kevin Samuels in the red pill space responded. Are you saying the gynocracy is offering a counter response? Y'all ain't shit. He says,
these last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
He said the church is a great place to use mode 1. Okay, I get what you're saying, Black Sword. He's an agent of the gynocracy, so it's really the gynocracy response. I got you. All right, now let's deal with this super chat down here. He said the church is a great place to use mode 1. I don't know if that's true. I was pretty damn blue pill back when I went to church, so I was under the belief, the delusion that those were actually good girls. Looking back at it, I can see some things that I couldn't see then. Looking back at it, yeah. Looking back at it, I can see some things that I couldn't see then. But I still don't know because I haven't been in that territory in so long. Even though I heard people say this. See, I was so blue pill, head in the clouds. I even heard a pastor, this was a pastor at a smaller church, say that when a single man walks into that church, basically they be throwing pussy at him. I had on my blue pill blinders. I don't know, but I'm just assuming in that 3,000 member church that I used to go to, that it was 80% women. I'm assuming a single man walking there with a suit on, smelling good. Yes, I tend to believe that was happening. I was too blue pill to even see it. But so I bet he probably could walk in there on some mode ones. Possibly. Only thing I can say is that I didn't see it, but it doesn't sound far-fetched at all. Here's $2 to make them holler. Shout out to Silent Lamont. Appreciate you.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
D-Rock Den in the building with his customary $5 cash app that he sends every day. Let me see what he said right there. Look like he dropped a comment in the cash app. Let me look at that. He says, for Pastor D-Rock Den says, D-Rock Den sent you $5 for Pastor dollar. Shout out to you. Appreciate the $5. Also, shout out to Constructive Consultant. Says, appreciate your constructive broadcast. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming through with that. Definitely appreciate that. I don't know this person, so I didn't drop the what do you get for $10 thing. I sometimes don't like to do that if someone's personal values do not uphold $10 tricking. But that's good. But shout out to Theo in the building. Says, in the church it's more like shark pussy. Shark pussy. All right. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what you mean by that. But shout out to you. Shout out to Mr. Theo, who always put an extra 2 cents on there. You still getting the last.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
Who is that with the name Obsidian Ronin? That is a weird name to just jumble together name for this space. He says, here's $2 Creflo dollars. Yeah, that's another crazy thing. Aside from the main topic, the main point, that's a crazy thing that the pastor who made his people strongly suggested and they obliged buy him a damn private jet. The pastor who made them drop that many dollars, his name is Dollar. I don't know how. I don't know how you don't change that name. His name is Creflo Dollar, man. That just doesn't stop being funny. That does not stop being funny to me. And we got a contestant on The Price is Right in the building. Shout out to you. Appreciate you, Paul G, for the $2 super chat, and appreciate Silent Lamont for another $2 super chat. He says, I had these 2 Obama bucks left in my wallet. Obama bucks. I have no idea. But thank you for coming on up. I was going to close the broadcast, but if somebody wants to come up, we could chop it up just a bit. So we got Constructive Consultant in the building. Go ahead. You have the floor. You have the mic.
What's good, Bernard? Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Okay. As long as my voice ain't choppy and I'm not doing Morgan Freeman, we good to go.
Oh no, you good. You're not Borgin. You're not Borgin. Go ahead. You got what's on your mind? What you got on this topic?
Okay. So I can comment directly on this, Bernard. A lot of being in the Black community, a lot of these talking points from the red pill community in general, I believe Black men have been having these conversations in barbershops and other places, especially regarding parental alienation and just the general the changing of the attitudes that we see of the women in the Black community. We know that it's kind of been referencing some older literature. We know that they've kind of had that kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, very kind of determined, kind of strong-mindedness, I would say. It's been present, but there was some kind of structure with it. But now with the crack showing with our marital rates and custody with children and all these little things that we talk about in the ministry, I think that you cannot deny it. You just can't deny it. It's out there. And so having these conversations, being first and foremost my background, being raised in a Christian denomination, right? And coming up, we've been having these conversations. And so I think it's coming to, I just find it interesting that we have somebody like a Creflo Dollar that is basically coming against the things we've been talking about. And it's coming to fruition. And I think it's at a point now, and you can comment on this. I think it's at a point now they can't deny it. They know the makeup of their congregations, being mostly women, the parishioners, and all that stuff. At some point in time, as ladies are doing with Kevin Samuels, you have to say, hey, where are the men at? And you have to address the issues that we got on the table. Now, whether they do it from an honest standpoint, which we've seen what Creflo did, we know his talking points, his arguments wasn't coming from a good faith argument. There were bad faith arguments all throughout it, So we'll see about that,
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. Like Kevin Samuels do just ask that question all the time. Where are the men at? When it came to Derrick Jackson, he was saying, where are the men at? If you're listening to some man who gives you any type of information that's going to enrich your life, or if the goal is like, because let's just face it, if you do any pastor, he wants his congregation married, because if they're not married, they ultimately just, per what it says, I'm no Christian, but per what it's supposed to be, per what they say that they're supposed to be about, if you have a bunch of single people in your congregation, and a lot of them single people we got babies and everything, I mean, you basically got a congregation full of people who just actively, frequently fornicating, more than likely. We're not in a bedroom. We don't know exactly how they getting down, but we know. So you do want them to be married. That's just a fact. You do want you want the women in your congregation to be married. You want the adults in your congregation to be married. In the event that they're not married, then there's the issue of, okay, a lot of fornication going on. If you want them to be married, then the $1 million question is, okay, where are the men? And Kevin Samuels says all the time, if you're listening to somebody and there's no men there, and if that's the goal that you do want, you actually do want a man, then you're probably listening to the wrong person. And that was the same thing with Derrick Jackson. Is like 99% women listening. No men could swallow or digest that BS that he's talking about. And it's turning into the same thing. Well, it's been the same thing with the church as well. So that's a dilemma that they got. If they do expect to grow and deliver on what they're talking about, yeah, the message has to be a message that men want to hear. And they're mad because somebody like Kevin Samuels has cracked the code to where he's not, well, a lot of people in the manosphere crack the code of giving men what they want, but he's also speaking to women, and still a message that men want to hear. He cracked the code on that nobody could crack, where men and women equally want to hear the message. Nobody else could crack the code on that. So that's why that's really the reason why they just see in their message just dying on the vine, so to speak. That brother P Dad in the building, he says, Bernard, I was invited to a discussion with some elders at World Changers about this entire sermon, and not just the 15 seconds about Kevin Samuels. I declined, but I was quite surprised at the invite. Man, you should have showed up and showed out. Should have showed up and showed out. Shout out to that brother P that in the building with the $10 super chat. Appreciate it. And now we got to go to the esteemed brother Xavier from the Prophet of Thought series.
Only from TPOT Media. Open your minds.
That was a different one right
shit,
there.
That's the new one, man.
Yeah,
that's the new one. Appreciate that, Brother Bernard. Peace, Brother Bernard. Peace, Brother Constructive. Let's go right in on this, right? Because everyone who knows me, they know I was raised by church people. Okay, I was raised by church folks, ministers, pastors. My grandfather was a bishop. So I've probably been in and out of more churches than most people when I was a young man. And let me tell y'all something right off top, coming from a bunch of church people, some of the most delinquent, miscreant, inappropriate, backward ass stuff is perpetrated by the so-called sanctified folks. All right. Let me be the first to say it. All right. The so-called sanctified people have some of the most evil motives, some of the most evil minds. That's why I stopped going to church. And I was like a teenager because I saw the baldashery and the foolishness inside of it. But besides that, when you see a person like Creflo Dollar, right? Obviously, big time pastor, he has a big ministry, he has churches in a couple of states, millions of dollars coming in. When he looks at someone like a Brother Samuels, he knows that is going to siphon off some of his congregation. And he's not worried about the men because he already knows, he's been at this a while, that the bulk of the church is what? A bunch of these old mamas. He knows that. He's worried about them siphoning off and listening to a brother like Brother Samuels. That's what he's really concerned about, man. That's what he's really concerned about, because guess what? When those dudes get up there and they freaking preach this so-called prosperity gospel, they preach this so-called chastity gospel, you never hear them preaching about y'all should have husbands. You never hear them preaching about not having these damn babies before you're married to somebody. You never hear him preaching about having a family, having stability. You never hear him preaching that. He's never preaching that. He's always preaching that, y'all should want to give your money to me crap. Y'all don't need no man. Y'all can do bad by yourself and all this kind of nonsense. These are the things that these brothers who get up there and preach, I know because I'm related to a lot of these clowns, all right? And I tell them the same thing. I guess that's why we don't get along, all right? And one thing about us as black people, you know, we have something called the Jesus Christ syndrome. We love to see somebody standing up there as our prophet. We love to see somebody standing up there telling us God gonna make a way. Wait on Jesus. Wait on God. We can't help it. We're indoctrinated that way. A lot of us can't help it. So when you get a brother standing up there and you think about all his congregation, the bulk of his congregation is what? Single women with kids. And I believe you hear, I've heard Brother Samuel say this, that single women keep women single. You know who else keep women single? Freaking pastors. You know why? Because they're married to his message. They're married to his message. So as long as he's sitting around telling them, wait on God, wait on Jesus, pray for your husband, they'll sit up and do that till they're 60 and 70 years old. You can walk into one of those churches and it's some 75-year-old old ass woman with the whole twinkle still in her eye, talking about she praying for her husband
Whoa, time
and her
out, time
ass
out.
75.
Hold on, rewind that. You said she got the what in her eyes?
The whole twinkle.
Damn.
Oh, let me do a little sidebar and explain what the whole twinkle is. And I bet you brothers have seen it and just didn't know what it is. So X is going to tell y'all what you're seeing now and make note of it. Email me when you see it. You ever be somewhere as a man, by yourself? Now, I'm a married man, but I be by myself quite often. And I go into the store and you may see this woman. She may be 60, 70 years old. Yeah, brother Emar, you know what I'm talking about. You follow me. You know what I'm talking about. And she's 60 or 70 years old. And she looks at you in a way you would expect a 30-year-old woman to look at you, a 25-year-old woman to look at you. She gives you that look of lust, even though she's 70 years old. That, my brothers, is the whole twinkle.
Man, this is my first time hearing you say that one, man. That's funny.
Oh, I've said it many times. Ask the brothers who follow me. I talk about the whole twinkle all the time, man. Back in the day, I always talked about the old women with the whole twinkle in their eyes. I've shown it to my wife. We've been in stores, and my wife be like, "Oh, I didn't like the way that old woman was looking at you." I'm like, "Woman, that's the whole twinkle." Even though she's 75. But back to what I was saying, you got women sitting in the church, man, at 70 years old with the whole twinkle in their eye, talking about they're praying for a husband. Because, see, they are so indoctrinated with this wait on Jesus nonsense that it's taken over their mind and it's empty in their pocketbooks. All right? And they count on that. What do you think pays for the church? What pays for the Rolls Royces and BMWs? What pays for their wives' mink coats and diamond rings? What pays for the mansions and the boats and the helicopters? So if they feel any outside threat from a other brother saying some things that may change the minds of these women, they're going to have a problem with it. And I'll say one thing else and I'll shut the hell up. When you got the Creflo dollar types standing up there and taking notice of brothers on YouTube, not only is he paying attention, he's also taking notes, because he's asking himself, what the hell does this guy have that he can draw this much attention with the very antithesis of what the church talks about? In his mind, anyway. Because, see, if preachers preached this kind of stuff, I think they would be not only more credible, man, I think they would be more beneficial, too. But that's all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Man, that was good stuff. That was good stuff. Shout out to Wizard X. He says, came in late, wanted to say my salutes. And shout out to Darth Slothius in the building. Said Creflo ran a prayer group in college, but he was a low-key player. I can believe that. Look, I mean, hey, dude, you up there preaching like that. I mean, if you can command that much of an audience, I mean, hey, you got some game. Like I'm not shocked at all by that one. But he said he's a low-key player. He knows what he's doing. I got family that went to college with him. Supreme Hustler. Wow. Yeah, drop some more. If you got some more insider information, nothing too incriminating, but a funny story. We definitely welcome that. We definitely welcome that. But shout out to you. Appreciate the $5. We got Go Chica Fitness, 10,000 peso for the whole twinkle. I don't even know what what that last word is, but shout out to that brother. He was on my 12-hour live stream. He got a channel he getting off the ground where he he damn near essentially doing almost like a little spin-off of what Marco be doing. So, but shout out to that brother. He's from the States. But I think he's living over in Colombia and doing some things over there. So shout out to him. Yeah, hopefully he was supposed to be not hooking up with Melody, doing an interview with Melody. Hopefully that goes through. That would have been a rumor out of this world if he's supposed to be hooking up.
Shout out for the whole twinkle. Shout out for the whole twinkle.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out for the whole twinkle. Yeah, I'm gonna be using that. I'm gonna be using that all day.
Feel free. It's not patented. Feel free to use it.
You ain't got it. You don't got it trademarked yet? Okay,
use it freely.
We got my man Theo in the building. What's going on, Theo? You got the floor. You got the mic.
I have a lot to say on this because this is what originally got me into KS. He was talking about the church because no one was talking about it. And I was a missionary in 3 countries, so Russia, France, and Japan. And I did a lot of missionary activities. And then my church that I mainly worked with I was in a Korean church, I was in a white evangelical church. And in both cases, we were having very similar problems to what KS was talking about. And this is why I left the church as well. So what happened was that the guys were single and they were trying to date the women, and it was like impossible. Nothing was going on. There was just no matter what we did, it was not good enough. And it's one thing like you would say, like, again, the girl would say, like, I'm not good enough. I say, okay, fine, I'm not good enough. But why is it that all of my friends also aren't good enough? Because they're going through the exact same problem that I am. And I just saw woman after woman continually being single. We didn't know why.
Hold on. I want to make sure. Hold on, real quick. I want to make sure I understand it right. You're saying that the men were there, but the women just essentially just didn't want to play ball for whatever reason. The church women.
Yes.
That's rare. I mean, it's normally the problem is just that the men just are not there at the church.
No. This is what happened. The men stopped going to church. They just started dropping off. Like me, I started dropping off. And I married an atheist. And my view was, let's see if it's really me. So if you won't date me and you're my first choice, let's go on the streets and see if she'll date me. Yep, she'll date me. This other woman will date me. This other woman will date me. So it's not me. I'm treating her exactly the same way as I would treat you. So after I got married, I talked to some of these women in the churches. I was like, why are you still single? Because this is like, they're like between 29 and 31 years old at this time. And they're like, oh, I'm waiting for a pastor. I want to be a pastor's wife, or I want to be a deacon's wife. And I was just looking at them like, there's only so many churches that are available. Like you can't have this kind of structure. Most of the women are going to be making just normal Christian homes. That's it. But they didn't care. They were just kept on praying about it. So, time went on, and I still know some of these women. I see them on Facebook. They go past 40, still single. And in the churches, the guys left the church, didn't go back, married somebody else, or just remained single. And then sometimes I talk with them. This is like 50 to 100 guys I've talked to over the years over this. And we're like, we don't understand what happened. Like, we were right there. We were trying everything that we could to date them, and now they're still single, and now they're like, they've hit menopause and they can't reproduce. But these are some like top-notch women. They're great. And it's not like we don't have jobs. All of the guys that I'm talking about who are having these issues, we all make $100,000 a year. We're all engineers, we're all STEM. And so we're just looking at like, what is the problem? It's not us, ladies. And I know women who are excellent. Like, I would have just been thrilled to God to have her as my wife. She's still single, 100% single. And I'm just like, what are you waiting for? Because, God already gave you how many guys trying to hit on you over the years. And I was like, it's not us. This is white evangelical in Korean churches. This is what I was going on there. There's not so much. I mean, maybe there's smashing going on, but really not that much. If there is, it's very much unheard of. And particularly in the Korean church, if they find out you're smashing, you get excommunicated. they deal with it real quick.
Goddamn. American Negro in the building. He says the manosphere has the internet going nuts, and now we're all in the black church. Hashtag Kevin Samuels revenge. Hey, it's a trending story. We got to cover it. Cut it out. But we gonna bring up, this is a Darth Slothius who has some insider information, so to speak. He says, I got stories, not too bad. If you drop the link, I'll tell. Yeah, I mean, I don't need you to be dropping incriminating information from 30 years ago on a man. If he, but if it's an entertaining story, go ahead. But I'm not just trying. I don't do smear campaigns. But if it's an entertaining story, I want to hear it. That's where I'm at with it.
Nah,
so
man, you good, man. I ain't trying to say no crazy stuff like you used to say, but
oh, yeah,
back in the day,
Just come up here wilding.
Hey man, But basically, he used to go to college back in GA in the 80s, and he used to run a prayer group, and he used to well, I don't want to incriminate myself, but he used to date moms for like a long time.
You used to date your mom?
Maybe yeah. So she found out he was like, on the Jesus shit with her, but low key behind the scenes, like just knocking them off.
Were you born like this? This is a story that
no,
told
hell
you.
no. This the 80s, bro. This the 80s.
Okay,
yeah, this
I mean, I don't know how old you are.
Parents.
Okay, so he used to date your mom. Okay, do you have do you know your biological father?
Yeah.
Okay,
I hang out with him every week. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. It's pretty much.
I'm just trying to make sure Creflo not your daddy. That's all.
No, he could have been, bro. That's why this shit kind of hits hard. He could have been, but she found out he was on sneak shit, and stopped kind of. Well, I guess she kind of still dated him a little bit, but then my pops kind of leveled up because he started out like doing construction, and he started college late. And they found out like he was running the prayer group, but he was smashing like half the chicks in the prayer group. And my mom found out, and she kind of stopped messing with him. And then my dad, he started college and pledged, so he kind of stepped in. And once that happened, he completely cut her off, like never talked to her again. So that's why, like in my house, like at the crib, they don't even mention him. Yeah. And this was I think in 83 to 85.
Okay, what year was you born?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm lagging a little bit. Nah, man, I was born shit 94.
Okay, all right. So yeah, okay, that's not cool. All right.
No. Trust me, I know. Bro. Trust me, no. This nigga here, bro. But no, you funny, bro. No,
I had to make sure. But no, that don't surprise me at all that he was running a prayer group in college and smashing all the women, and we can assume he's still smashing. He just got a bigger prayer group now. He just got a bigger prayer group. We can assume he's
had years to train, his exterior and his character, and pretty much that Jesus thing, but low key, bro, he is savage, bro. That I like I said, I got parents and a cousin, so
I don't know how they pulled that off with being just super, just like right now, like when you the pastor, like you're the next closest thing to Jesus. Not that you're supposed to be perfect, but that's how your congregation view him, as a man who, for as close as possible to being without sin. Like that's how most people view their pastor. So it's just, how do you like when you're talking to that woman, she views you as that, you would think, but to bring that on to be all the way up there high and holy, and then just go to some
Brother Bernard
trying to get the panties off. It's a weird
Brother
transition.
Bernard.
I have a hard time wrapping my mind around them. Go ahead.
It's easy, man, because one thing they have, I know, man, I was raised around these guys, man. I watched my grandfather. He was a bishop. He presided over like 6 different churches, man. And he was like in his 60s, man. He had like 5 girlfriends. All right. Young chicks too. All
I said
right. I saw it when I was a kid.
they got the most amazing funnel ever. Like that.
Yes.
Let's just say that they got the most amazing funnel
Well,
of women. Just okay, but go ahead.
we know that women are attracted to power, right?
Mhm.
And a pastor of a congregation is a very powerful brother. And not only that, he's got them so indoctrinated, they're so married to his message that he can use the tenets of God to say, well, this is what God wants you to do. This is God wants you to serve me. God wants you to
There it
pleasure
is.
me. God wants you to do this. Jesus wants you to do that. And a lot of people are so churchly bound that they know
Indoctrinated.
good. Yes, they have their heads buried so deep into that Bible that they can't see anything in front of them. Some of the biggest holes, man, are in the congregation. Y'all brothers got to realize that. Some of the biggest holes are in the church congregation. And let me tell you something. If you're the pastor, if you're a deacon, I mean, it's ushers in the church who's smashing chicks in the church basement. All right. I know. I used to be there. I used to see it.
Hey, X, let me get in on this part because what you said earlier about the guy told me to do this and that, bro. You figured about the other side of that. The other side of that is you can be like, oh, you can smash a chick and be like, and be like, oh, God, I love God, but I backslid. I'm weak in the faith right now. So you can get it on both ends. You can be like, God told me to do this, but if you smash a chick without committing or whatever, you can be like, oh man, I backslid. I'm falling low in the eyes of God, and they'll eat that shit right up.
Absolutely. I mean, these are the things, because see, this is the thing with the church, right? If you're a member of a congregation and you go to church regularly, right? It's just like anything else. It's just like any club. All right. You come in there, you pay your dues to hear a message. And the bulk of the people, and I'm pretty sure anybody else who was in and out of churches and raised around the churches, the bulk of the people that go to church, man, don't even really know the Bible all that great.
Oh, I know.
They really don't.
No, they don't even know
it. Yeah, they don't even read the Bible.
Right.
Okay. So whatever he's standing up there telling you that the Bible says, you just take that and you run with it. So if you find yourself back in Pastor Dollar's office and you're a female that he done taken a liking to, he can tell you that the Bible tells you all kinds of things to get your clothes off. He can tell you all kinds of things to get you naked. He can tell you all kinds of things to get your mouth on his jewels. All right. Under the guise of the church. It's not like they just come in there with some game like he platinum elite or somebody. No, he comes in there under the guise of religion, under the guise of the Bible, under the guise of God and Jesus. That's how he does it. All
what
right?
you just explained right there, that made it make sense for me, so to speak, because listen, I understand that women see him as power and they want a piece of that power. Like, I get that part, but and maybe it's just because I'm an honest person. If I present myself one way, and that's because that's who I am, I can't go and not be that. So in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, how are they presenting themselves as this high and holy person who's living this righteous life, and then get a chick in the office and then start talking some game to them? But you explain their game. They spin it and twist it and make it seem like she's doing the work of the Lord by servicing him, and because she ain't read the damn Bible. They throw in some, well, God told me that he wants you to be, and then he probably spitting the whole, you're gonna be you're gonna be the first lady of the church game. They probably got
that's what it is.
Pimp God,
that's what
man.
it is. Yeah.
They pimp God
from secretary to first lady. Yep.
Yeah, they pimp God and they pimp religion. All right, and they like it. These pastors, they like when women come in there and they don't have men. All right, because see, these pastors become the most prominent men in their life. All right, he becomes one of the most prominent men in their life, almost like a quasi pseudo father figure, almost like a quasi pseudo husband figure, because see, he's doing what all these other freaking charlatans and placaters do. He's telling these women a lot of shit that they want to hear, and he's doing it in a charismatic way, and he's saying God wants this to happen. God wants you to take off your clothes. God wants you to, give me fellatio up in here. This is what God wants. It's not even really about them. They are just a man. They are just a symbol. But they have indoctrinated these women so much. All right. They've indoctrinated them so much that one thing about women, okay, if you have the ability to get into their purse, you're not far from being able to get into their pants. That's women.
Right on. That brother Peter in the building says, keep in mind that Black Christianity is way more entrenched in gynocracy and chivalry than other faiths. Many white conservative preachers go in on gynocracy and chivalry in ways Black preachers never ever would. Shout out to you. Appreciate the $20 super chat. And also, I did see the comment that you left right there. You can that the other comment you left that you didn't super chat. You said something interesting I want to know more about. We can set up a one-on-one about that and bounce around some other topics. So hit my email. I think I got your email, but either way, hit my email if you got time. I don't know what your schedule look like, man. I don't know if you be available in the morning, but whenever you get a chance, yeah, we can definitely get a one-on-one in about that, brother P. That and shout out to Rod of God podcast in the building with the $20 super chat as well.
Go ahead and throw this out to X's point. You got to think like pretty much. You got to think it's a female driving once a week to go see you talk, and then they paying money to you, and then you're the most, I guess, prominent guy in the whole building. I mean, you pretty much got it set up. Like I said, you can go, like X said, to the point of, oh, God told me to do this, or this should happen, or we should, make these moves or not. Or you can go to the other side and be like, it is what it is. Lust took over and this and that, and that's why you see pastors they got to cheat on their wife like 3 times before they get kicked out. Yep.
Yeah, no, I get the part that these women pulling up, coming to see them, and they view them as high up and got power and all of that. I understand that part. I just don't know how you go from selling yourself as the high of high, holy of holy type of dude to bitch, pull your panties off. But that's just to me, that's a difficult.
You ain't gotta say it, bro.
Your answers in the chat room. Your answers in the chat room with brother Jay Daniels a comment up there. Jay Daniels in the chat room. See him? Jay Daniels. There's your answer.
Damn, I don't see nobody named Jay Daniels.
I see it.
There's your
what did he say? What is he saying? I can't find him.
There's your answer. He says, God wants you to on thou face.
What?
You gotta highlight that.
I'm trying to find
Hey, Logan. Read Logan JJ. He's right.
Oh, Logan JJ. He said Jay Daniels.
Read him
Logan
too.
JJ.
No, Jay Daniels at
12:22.
At 12:22. Just look at the comment at 12:22 from Jay Daniels.
All right, 12:23, 12:22. Okay, there it is. God wants me to come on thy face.
There's your answer. There's your answer.
Yeah.
So Logan JJ too, bro. Read Logan
let
JJ
me go to CJ real quick. You haven't got a chance to speak. You've been waiting for a minute. Go ahead, CJ. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Thanks. And I actually hopped up because of a comment from Theo, and he's absolutely right. There was a time where there's a lot more black men in the church, but as time went on, the number started to go down because more and more of the women just weren't trying to get with the guys. And the reason, it's a lot of reasons for that. One reason was, it's like the pastor was always talking about how you're going to change your life and you turn around and you're a queen and you deserve this, that, and the third, and God is going to send you a man. And so what happened was there would be decent guys in the church who were approaching these women, but they would say, "Oh, I'm waiting because God is going to send me a man." Like, I've seen this. Well, this is a good guy, Christian guy. He likes you. He has his life together. He wants to be with you, but you reject him or friend zone him because you talk about God is going to send you somebody. It's like, no, he did send you somebody. This dude right here, but. That's you see more and more of that going on even to this day, to where it's like, I'm waiting for my Boaz, and I'm waiting for this man. He got this and he got that. And he gonna sweep me off my feet. They looking for a Christian Prince Charming, basically.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor in the equation too. Shout out to Beef Stewart, says God wants you to nod on this rod. That's what Rod of God podcast. That's his game. That's what he be saying. That's shout out to Rod of God. Said God wants you to nod on this rod.
Hey, on that note,
David Carroll say?
Hey Bernard, on that note, can you drop the link for Rod of God?
Did he want?
Yeah.
If you want to, he said he don't do that. He don't engage in that. Okay, yeah, we believe you. We believe you. But
hey, what David Carroll say? Being on the front row, crossing their legs back and forth.
Oh yeah,
a lot of that going on.
Yeah. So Bernard, I did have a couple comments I want to make on this topic.
Go ahead, you got it.
So, as you know, I've said this before in here. So, I grew up a preacher's son, right? So my father actually studied theology, all the good stuff, right? So, and Bible studies every night, like all of that, and then I was a pretty serious Christian for a while, choir group, like in the choir, youth group, preaching the gospel on the streets, like all of it. Okay, I've been all of that, right? And I can tell you right now, man. Actually, one of the points that
wait, hold on, time out. You say you used to preach the gospel on the streets?
Like when I on the streets, I mean, like how you go in groups and you go, like we'll find a spot, we'll find a location, and we'll go as a group and just try to preach to random people on the street, people at the bus stop. Like I'm just saying, like I was
not exactly. You don't mean like actual preaching. You just mean just talking to them, just having a conversation. If you were to die today, do you know if you'd be going to heaven or hell? That kind of conversation.
Exactly.
Okay. I don't see you as a preacher, but I can see you having that type of conversation with somebody on the street. But all right, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. With brochures and everything, got it. Come check out the church, blah blah blah. And especially, they would have us, the younger folk, the younger crowd, go talk to the younger folks, etc. So here's the thing, right? Well, one of the points I want to actually touch on one of the points Brother Pete made first, because he's absolutely correct. So these days I'm not an atheist, but I'm also I don't go to churches often. But when I do go to church out here in Atlanta, I actually go to a Hispanic church. And what's interesting is every now, I go to a Hispanic church. One of my neighbors, he's Hispanic, and he invited me to his church. And I was like, okay, let me go. And one of the things I noticed that's drastically different is that they just openly preach shit as it should. Like they'll talk about how the man is the head of his wife, et cetera, et cetera. Like, whereas like the black church won't say stuff like that anymore. I mean, like even just the idea that the man is the head of his wife, which is, biblical, right? Like that is something that the black church, they'll just avoid speaking about it in that manner, right? And when I go to this Hispanic church and I see how, they have no problem speaking on the roles of men versus on the roles of women, and making that distinction clear, it's very interesting to see the different dynamics. So I think this is something that in particular does affect the black church in particular. But the other point I want to make is that for me, one of the reasons I started doubting a lot of the church and just, I guess, I don't want to say the Bible, but just the church in general, is because of the behaviors I was seeing, right? So whether it's the young women in our youth group who wasn't really, they didn't really want to date us within the church, but they were dating the local drug dealers, right? So it's like, you get what I'm saying? Like you're dating the local drug dealers, but all the young men who are in church with you, we're just clowns. Like you don't really want to fuck with us, but yet the guy who's like literally the plug in the neighborhood, he's dating the church chick, right? And that's something that, you start asking yourself questions, even as a young dude, as a teenager. I'm like, damn, like that's crazy. Like, she's dating like one of the most dangerous dudes in the neighborhood, and obviously not a Christian guy, but all the young Christian men in the church who are trying to holler at her all the time and whatnot. She's not interested. She's not interested. And then all the behind the scenes stories you're hearing about the pastor doing this and that. But I think for me, one of the biggest points for me was the last church I went to, the last black church I was a member of. The pastor had his church. The church was smack dab in the hood, right? It's smack dab in the hood. And this guy, he lives in a gated community. Okay. He drives a fucking, I think it was like some kind of Benz. I don't remember which car, but it was like, I mean, I'm talking about like luxury, nice car. And it was always interesting looking at that dynamic, right? Like you're coming from a gated community into the hood, right? And you're preaching everybody, and most of the people you're preaching to, they're poor, living paycheck to paycheck, right? And they're bringing, I mean, I've watched my grandmother my entire life, for example, just every single time, like she'll bring, all the money she has, like she'll like donate it to the church and whatever they ask for. And so you have these people who really believe in the church, right? And they're coming in and bring you all their money. And it just doesn't make sense to me how you can have your church right in the fucking hood. And then all these people are poor, right? They're living paycheck to paycheck, and you're driving the nicest car. And I remember when I found out that he lived in a gated community, I don't know. It really, even as a young dude, Bernard, like it really just rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not saying you can't live well. I'm just saying there's something about that does not sit right with me, where our pastor is living in a gated community and most of the flock are living paycheck to paycheck. Some of them living in legit the projects. It does not make sense. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. And it's also just not how it's supposed to be from a biblical standpoint, right? Is that like, I mean, you got people who are basically almost homeless, okay? And you get what I'm saying? Like, anyway, I don't want to go on a rant about this, but I think there's all these things that we've seen at this point that for me, like, even though like I'll go to this Hispanic church I go to, they're really great people. They treat me like family, but I mean, I don't think you could really, except for maybe like a funeral or a wedding or whatnot, you can't really pay me to go to a black church anymore. Like you just can't. Like straight up, you can't pay me to go to a black church. Like for me, I just see it as, I mean, and the idea that a pastor, think about what Creflo said. The idea that those words came out of a pastor's mouth. Like even my dad, I was having this conversation with my dad and I sent him the video and I'm like, go to this timestamp. And my dad was shocked. My dad was like, did this guy just say you don't need him? And like, he explicitly said that. And my dad as a preacher is like, how could he defend this biblically? Like, how could you actually defend that statement biblically? You can't. You cannot defend it biblically. No. Right. And so the fact that they'll go that far, right, just to basically maintain, their I guess their how do I say it? Like, just to be okay with the sisterhood of failure, right? The fact that they'll go to those lengths, you could not pay me. You literally could not pay me to go sit my butt in a black church. You just can't. I'm done. Like for me, I'm done with that. And I actually do blame the black church. I think at least initially it's not the only reason, but initially for what started making me question, the church in general, and eventually drove me out of the church was just the behavior I was seeing, and and all the other stuff. I mean, the fact that we had a guy who was, I don't want to say too much because some people probably do know me, but we had a guy in the church who some of us ended up finding out that he likes the same sex, and like just all that shit that goes on in the church, and people are just quiet about it, and they let the guy keep going on about his, it's like, dude, you can live your lifestyle, but if you can't say you're a Christian and you have this role within the church, but yet you're doing this behind the scenes, all this behavior that we enable in black churches. I don't want to say we, but you get my point. Like for me, that's all these things combined just show that, I mean, it's a catastrophe in my opinion.
Well,
to
the point that you were making about the pastor being paid and everybody in the congregation being poor, I'm sitting here, I wanted to pull it up, but I kind of don't want to do it. The church that I used to go to is like, I called it a mini mega church, and right next to it, it's like basically a low income housing units. It's basically some low income housing units, some apartments right next to it. It's like a wall up between, but a lot of the congregation walk right over from the low income housing subdivision, whatever the hell they call it. They walk right over there or drive right over there just next door to the little mini mega church. And I'm sitting there like, in this church, they preach a strong message about them tithes and offerings. I mean, they own it. They own it. And so I do know exactly what you mean. And the pastor, his house, he don't got no problem even saying his address. He said his address at the church, and his crib. Well, I mean, he actually passed away now. So I mean, not speak too badly about the dead, but but either way, he lived in a real nice house, put up really, really well. And granted, you know, listen, I'm trying not to go in too much because that's like these people I actually know. So we always pump the brakes when it's going to start talking, you know, personal about people I know. But the fact of the matter is that yeah, I do understand what you mean. How the church could be just right in the middle of the hood, a lot of poor people in there giving their last. I mean, there's been discussions about if you got $200, your light bill is due, you know. Do you pay your light bill to keep your lights on, or do you pay your tithes? If that, you know, and they say hands down, no matter what, tithes.
Yes, I got my bad.
Oh no, go ahead. That's all I got.
I was about
on
to
there.
say
Go
I
ahead.
got jumping right there, Bernard, because that's exactly what I was going to say. I want to tell this story. You know, I want to say like 8th grade. I think it was about 7th, 8th grade. My mom, you know, was down bad, and the only income we had was my dad's child support. God bless him; he paid.
Oh wait, and shout out to Wise Will TCP. That's been sitting there for a minute. Shout out to you. Appreciate the super chat, brother. All right, go ahead.
Will. Yeah, no. So, you know, we
wait. Hold on. You said the only income was the child support.
The child support. That's it, bro. That's all we had.
Hold on,
and,
but that wasn't nothing but $200.
Yeah, but we lived and it was like
that's what they say.
The
average. They say the average man on child support ain't paying nothing, but I think they say $200 or something like that.
It was about $300 every 2 weeks, so it was really like $600. This is back in the 90s. So that was good money.
That wouldn't bad.
But you know, if my mom wasn't in her masculine, you know, it would have been great. But that's another topic for another day. But no, I wanted to say, you know, like we was living off this check, man, and it came late. And my mom had made because you know that's how they do, like the charismatic preacher. You know, women find him attractive. Men, even as a little boy, I can see right through him. No, this is a snake. But all these women in this church, they get so caught up and he out there sweating and preaching. He's like, pledge. They'll say stuff like, there's 20 people in the audience who can give me $200. The Lord is telling me right now. And my mom raised her damn hand. I'm looking at her like, you know, I've been having to worry about bills since I was a kid. My mom pledged this $200 and God worked it out, man, because that check ended up coming late, and so much to the point where we had to either pay that pledge she had made or pay our rent. And do you know she was so torn up over that shit for days, and finally, thank God, she made the right decision and paid the rent. But I tell you, they gave us the nastiest look. They started going up on the pulpit, throwing shots. They would throw shots. They was like, "Yeah, you never make a pledge to the Lord that you don't keep." It was horrible, man. And that's what's going on with Creflo. He feels threatened financially by Kevin Samuels, because Kevin Samuels came up in the churches. He was able to call out a lot of the bullshit that's going on in black churches. And they feel threatened because now women have somebody who they can listen to, who is at least telling them the truth instead of just trying to get their money.
Or they draws off.
Well, I think Kevin may still be trying to get
yeah. That too. I ain't gonna put that past. Yeah, I mean.
And what's good, brother Rod of God?
What up, brother? Is that we got a show about this tonight?
Oh yeah, can I get a shameless plug in, man? Can I get a shameless plug?
Always, you know, it ain't even shameless over here, man. You got it.
Tonight, folks, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the TPOT YouTube page. The brother Rod of God will be in the house, and also Spiritual Logic, aka Hope, will be in the house as well, and we will be talking about the Bible, black folks, and the BS. That's what we will be talking about tonight, folks. So make sure you're there, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the TPOT YouTube page. You Negroes know. That's all.
Salute.
Only from TPOT Media. Open your minds. Yeah.
Had to play it. Shout out to Wise Will, and you are correct. I didn't read it. What did the brother say? He said his dad used to play the bass guitar. Oh, they don't want your thing to get. They don't want it to get read. They won't even let me pull that out. But you said I can only see half of it for some reason. They playing you today. But he says, my dad used to play the bass guitar at the church. And when we went to the church, I think the rest of it says women used to flirt with him all the time. See, I was too blue pill back when I was in the church. I didn't even notice that chicks used to be in there throwing pussy at bass guitar players and deacons and all. Yeah, it probably was all kind of junk going on that I was just too blue pill to see. I thought they was going into that back room to pray. I didn't know what was going on. But anyway, shout out to Wise Will in the building. Also shout out to Rod C says the black church should be like the bank and the government if I'm paying tithes. Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying. You want to see return on an investment that's supposed to go to the building fund. You want at least a new doorknob every now and then. The goddamn doorknob that fell off the church back in '78. They still ain't fixed it. But shout out to you. Definitely appreciate you.
Bernard, you know what else? You know what else I find funny is I never realized this until I heard somebody in the manosphere say this. I can't remember who said it. The number of bad chicks who used to sit in the front row with short skirts on. I never actually used to notice it until somebody said it, and I thought about it, I'm like, damn, that's true. I'd never noticed it. I think a lot of us are just way too blue pill when we're in the church to realize this stuff, man, because I never noticed it.
Yeah, no, I definitely didn't. And well, though, to be fair, at the church that I went to, the people, see, they were the people that had the money. They used to have them sitting up front in a lot of old women. It was probably a whole section in there. I just didn't, I wasn't paying attention. But they like, I remember, and I mean, I'm not knocking it, but I mean, but it is what it is. A family had moved. They had moved from they was from Detroit or somewhere. They moved to my city because the husband was a doctor, the wife was a lawyer, so they had bank. They had bread. And right when they came to the church and joined, it ain't take them long at all. They were sitting on the very first row. I was like, yeah, they pulling the big money people up to the front. So that's how they got down at that church. They didn't have the young chicks with the short skirts sitting up front, but they was in there with the short skirts. I wasn't paying. I mean, I'm okay. Let me not front. If I saw a short skirt and a nice ass walking in it, I noticed it, but I wasn't paying. The blue pill kicked in that I wasn't really paying attention that, oh, Deacon so-and-so is smashing old short skirt right there, or the pastor. Let's see. I still think the pastor was an upstanding guy. I still think he was. So I'm not. Go ahead.
Those churches is full. The churches, black churches, are filled with women who were 304s in the streets who grew a conscience, and then they started going to church to make themselves feel better, to erase and become born again virgins and all that. Shout out whoever made that up. But at the end of the day, they because they would date pookies, like they were used to being the financial providers, and they just translate that to the church. They give money to the church for attention from the pastor, attention from the deacons, and like I think someone else commented on, but they still have that desire for pookie. So they'll be up in the church, but at the end of the day, they want a pookie. They don't want the church brothers. The black church is a male strip club for converted reformed 304s without the stripping.
Without the stripping.
But he's right though. I'm telling you, Brother Rod of God is right, because I mean, church is just like anything else that us black folks do, right? When you're talking about weddings, when you're talking about receptions, when you're talking about funerals. Church is the same thing, because see, us black folks, we are into theater. Okay, church is theater for the most part. It's theater. It's a goddamn performance, man. So we go there like it's a venue. It's just that the premise is God, so it gives it this noble covering. It gives it this covering that we can sort of pseudo respect. Okay, because if you talk to women, especially here in the South, the first thing come out of their mouth, oh, I'm a Christian, as if that means something. All right, so the church has this covering. So the things that you think about normally, the things that go on in everyday life, the things that we naturally encounter, the church has this shield over that. But what people don't understand is that there's more of the world, as they say, inside the church, as opposed to the church making its way into the world. That's just the way it is. There's more of the so-called world inside the church. So some of the worst things you've seen out in your life, guess what? It's inside the church. Some of the most fornication is inside the church. The adultery, the abuse, the everything, the scamming, the money, the stealing, the many baby daddies, the many baby mamas. I knew a pastor one time, man, he had 5 girls in the congregation knocked up. So, I mean, the world has entered into the church. And not only that, when we get into the money, all right, when we get into the money of the church, why do you think, like the brother said earlier, the pastor's driving a Mercedes, the pastor's driving a BMW, all right? The pastor got a Phantom. His congregation is walking to church. They walking. And that church that he got is in the middle of some of the poorest people in that town. That's where his big old church sits in the middle of. And like the brother said, he don't live nowhere near where that church is. He live off in his gated community. He live off in his mini mansion 30 minutes away. He's driving in his Mercedes. He's driving in his freaking Rolls Royce, driving right by all his congregation as they're catching the bus, as they're walking with their rent money, with their light money, with their water bill money, putting it in a collection plate, dropping it in an envelope with the tithes. This is how the churches operate. And not only that, do you know that a lot of churches, especially here in the South, when you go to join, you know what they want to see? They want to know where you work. They want to see your tax returns. They want to see your W-2s. All right?
I've never seen somebody actually do that. I've heard of that.
Yes, it happens.
It's true. It happens, man.
Yeah, that's insane. I've never heard that before, but that, I mean, I believe it, but that's crazy.
Oh, it's real.
Well, to X's point, my former wife, she was a part of a sorority organization, and one of her line sisters or whatever, they had to do the same thing, and even the more because I think even Kevin Samuels has touched on this, even more prominent churches where the members are part of upper crust, so to speak, of Black society, that they want to see that. So even the congregations where they're not poor or low income housing or walking or anything like that, they want to see that. Potter House, they want to see the W-2s. And I was blown away too, because essentially they want to see those W-2s because they believe in that 10%. And if you analyze that with the fact that they're tax exempt, they have a tax exempt status. So all that money that he's taking in is tax exempt, and he can have another job. He can have other things going on, and they can receive federal funding, especially with George Bush, the second George Bush passed in 2001 with his faith-based initiative. I mean, it's a lot going on right there. It's a lot of incentive to keep people, as Kevin Samuels says, keep people apart. See,
well, what's also interesting is that, like, when the pastor is driving around in that nice car, and you realize and then you realize that car was purchased technically, like the church technically owns that car, but he's the only one who drives it, and it was purchased using the tax exempt status, of the church and the funds of the flock, right? Like, so the pastor is driving around, like X said, driving around in the nice car that you pay for, while you walk. Okay, while you walk, he's driving around from his gated community to the church while you walk. And here's another point, Bernard. I remember we had a retreat one time, and this to me was a perfect example of how the pastor views himself as different from the flock. Everybody, they rented a bus. They had like a big bus for everybody to go. They had actually 2 buses, one for the men, one for the women, and for us to go to this retreat, right? And the pastor decided that he was going to go to the retreat with his wife and his daughters. He decided that he was going to go to the retreat in his own car, right? Everybody else was going on the bus, but he went in his own car, his nice, really nice car. Okay. He decided to go while we're all stuck in this bus. He went in his own car, and his whole justification was that he was doing it. I don't remember what his reason was, but it was just interesting because everybody else is on this bus. Why can't you get on this bus with us? And to me, that's a perfect example of somebody looking at himself as different from everybody else who's, who he's preaching to. Because otherwise, how come every single person is on this bus except for you? Why do you have to drive this car that we paid for you to drive? And this really nice car, by the way. And, you pulling up in a really nice car while we all had to sit in this bus for a long period of time just to go to this retreat. So I don't know. I just can't rock with, like, black pastors just piss me off, bro. Like they really do. So anyway.
All right. Shout out to Jockey's Retro in the building. Says good topic, but rappers were talking about this since the early 90s. Brand Nubian. Shout out to you. I didn't know rappers was really talking about that, but I don't doubt it. Don't doubt it at all. We got OG J Speed in the building. Go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic. And you are muted. And that the mute not even on my end. It's on your end somehow. Because I got you unmuted on my end. So you got
it. Got it.
Good.
That's better?
Yep.
I was trying to cut down the bullhorn, man. I didn't want to come in too loud.
You're still loud as hell, but all right.
Okay. Well, let me step back.
Turn your soundboard down, OG. You gotta.
We can hear all the.
This unit didn't come with a soundboard, brother. I can cut it down. Let me see. Let me cut it down.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. You sounding normal now.
That's just I put my voice down a little bit. Let me cut it down.
I'm just messing with you, OG. I'm just messing.
I know you is so too. We old radio men. We know how to do all that. That's better.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay. Y'all having a good topic. And I probably would have jumped in a lot faster. We wasn't going to do my OnlyFans stripnology for 60 years old page. So, but I had to get in and get this in. You know what I mean? Creflo Bodollar. I know some things, but I know you really don't want to get into that. But I'm gonna tell you a story about what happened back in 1997.
Go ahead. Right? You got some stuff. Go ahead.
All right. This is back in the day. Working in Hollywood, a lot of people don't understand. A lot of time actors, when you first starting off, you make less than $5,000 a year because you're not working all the time. So you got to have a side job. So I was working at this hotel. They was doing renovating, right? It's an international hotel. The average person in LA couldn't even stay at it. They just deal with international people. I don't know how they got away with that. But anyway, I was talking to some of these girls. They was from Poland, and I had my daughter. I was raising my daughter at that time, and so a guy walked up to me at the bar. It was lunchtime, and that's what we ate at. We ate at the bar. All the help did, and he said, "Man, I like the way you handling women." And I was like, hey, I'm just being friendly. I work here. You got to be friendly. I'm working for a brand here. And he said, "Nah, man, I like the way you maneuver around women." And I was like, "Okay." And so he said, I got a proposition for you." He said, "I got ministers in this city, and what I need for you to do is set up some girls on Saturdays and Sundays, but you can't tell them we ministers. Everything they need will be there, drink, smoke, whatever they need, but it can only be Saturdays, and it's the first Saturday of every month." And he said, "You have a nice little sum in the bank. Let me say, give me your post box." That's what he told me. He said, I told him I had a post box. I said, "I want you sitting under my address." He said, "I think about it." And he said, "I send you a nice little sum every month, and we need about 8 girls." And they wanted they want the, they want the 8s, 9s, and 10. They wanted the kind of caliber girls I was talking to at the motel who was staying there. They wanted them kind of caliber girls, right? So I do know about that, and the way they get away with that, guys, and the ladies, if you happen to be married to a minister out there, the way they get away with that is, y'all know, on first Sunday, they always go and say they have to, get into God, and they have to get away. They usually separate themselves for the family for that big preaching they gonna have on that Sunday.
The retreat.
Yeah,
you understand? And so that's how they get away with it. Their wives, they tell them, this is the most important sermon of the month because it's the first. Because if you go to every church, they try to get you in there for the first Sunday. I don't know if that has something to do with the rent, the mortgage, or whatever, but they be trying to load people up. That's when they have community. They have all that stuff, So I came up as a Christian. I was born in the church, and I'm not saying that literally. I was actually born in the church.
We can't gloss over the fact that you just basically just told us you was a pimp.
No, not me. No, listen.
Were you the guy that they had bringing the girls?
That was the proposition.
Oh, you didn't.
No, I was raising my daughter, man. I wasn't going there. It was just laughable for me. Do you understand?
Okay, so they was trying to find a pimp, and they
was trying to find somebody who had, who was good with the girls. They don't want to do. They was already pimps themselves, so. But they was already pimps themselves, so they didn't need another pimp. They needed some.
I know they didn't exactly need a pimp, but they wanted somebody who was good with the girls, had access to the women, to basically just set them up, so they don't got to be out hollering at chicks.
There you go.
They just wanted somebody to send the women to a certain location at a certain time, and they was going to give you money for that. Yeah,
they needed somebody to.
I'm assuming the women were going to get a piece of the money like that. That's why I said the guy.
No, the women's gonna get paid when they go to the place now.
Okay, so that's still de facto pimping. You're the middleman.
Right. I understand what you're saying, but now I know you're trying to get me in some illegal shit, but I ain't falling on that. I ain't falling in that hole. But anyway, the convincing argument of all that that they need to stick their holy pole in somebody's glory hole on the first of the goddamn month. So y'all ladies who married to these preachers, when they tell y'all they had to go to their retreat and get into they sermon for that Sunday, well, I tell you what, it might be a sermon, but it ain't the one you think it is. So if you still following Creflo Bo Dollar anyway, you crazy. So that just number one. But not really. You was talking about this. This is more on a serious note. That see, the churches at one time used to be very important to our community. It used to be where we had our secret meetings, and but the church got involved with government, and I think it was President Bush who made it where the churches could take funds from the federal government. And see, once they did that, then that opens up a whole nother kind of, because you used to be separated church and state. But when that happened, when that marriage happened, churches turned into something totally different. I think the churches did do that because people were falling out for the churches, and there's different levels why people was falling out from the church. People got conscious, I'm black and I'm proud, and other things. People got educated. People start understanding the Bible, especially smart people. But there is people who go to church and just have blind faith. They don't care if the preacher is saying, "Hey, you got one of them things on your ankles, on your leg, General."
No,
okay.
I don't know if you available or not, but yeah, you got a little.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
you
that sounds like one of them things on ankle bracelets, man. For them, the police put around you. I want to know, hey, you getting too far? You stepped out of range.
Yeah.
But Jiller ain't gonna get in no trouble. He's still working for the government, so he ain't gonna get in no trouble. But anyway, man, so it boils down to the churches at one time was very intimate part of our community, especially from slavery on up. There's a way we had to communicate. We was really speaking in code then. If you go to a lot of our songs, it's really a lot of the songs that black spirituality were code songs, so but that changed as we changed, and so I think a lot of pimps did go to the church because if you think about it, there's no different in their conversation. And that's why, women flocks to the church is because, just like y'all was saying earlier, that power thing, they see that man on that podium and he's the right hand of God and he's using the other left hand on their ass. I mean, they can't have it. They can't have it no better than that. You know what I mean?
Right on.
And I'm just telling the truth, man, because, I mean, you can have no better power than having a Bible in your hand in the black community. Even today, you can get on the bus today and have a Bible in your hand. You can get more play than a person with Nikes and gold chains around his neck.
Shout out to W. Alfonso, dropped $2 for the cause. Tom Cat in the building. He says the church teaches black men passivity 101, and you can get an undergrad in suckerology. Shout out to you. Appreciate the super chat. And also shout out to who was that? Rich Goodson. Rich Goodson says, thanks for discussing Rev Seymour. Seymour Cash. I don't know what you're talking about.
He put it in parentheses, but he's saying like Creflo Dollar is just trying to see.
Okay, I got it. Seymour Cash. Gotcha. All right. Go ahead, General. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Hey, what's up, Bernard? Hey, what's up to the panel?
On?
Shout out, y'all. Good conversation, man. I've been listening for quite a while. Yes, sir, it is.
Peace, General.
Hey, so listen, man. Peace, brother. Hey, I'm gonna tell you some real shit, right? So y'all know I'm out here in Texas, right? So I was dealing with this young lady, this woman who, she had a pretty good job. She lived in Austin, worked for a little law firm or whatever. We met, we was hanging out. And she invited me. She was a member of a primetime church in Dallas. I think you all know who I'm talking about. TD Snakes. So she invited me to go down to the Potter's house, with her one Sunday. I said, okay, cool, no problem. I'm familiar with the Lord and all that good stuff. So we go down there. They got people out there guiding people into the parking lot and all this shit. And I drive a pretty nice vehicle. It's foreign or whatever, no big deal, right? So as we're getting out of the car, we get sectioned off and ushered into a certain section. And I'm like, well, this is odd but it's a big church. It's a mega church, right? And I said, well, this is odd. So they're doing their thing or whatever, and it came time for the offering. Do you know that these motherfuckers had this little thing on the phone? It wasn't no cash. The little square, what they call the square, that's plugged into a cell phone? And you swipe the goddamn card.
Ooh, yeah, they got their technology.
That's what they were passing around. They had these little squares, and they passed that, like they passed offering plate. No. You had them motherfuckers wanted you to swipe your credit card. Now check this out. Here's where it gets real tricky at. The lowest, and I said, okay, I'm cool, whatever. I ain't gonna trip. Swipe my damn card. The lowest was $20. That's the lowest. When the shit came up and you got your options, $20, $40, $60, $80, $100. It started at $20.
Lord,
I can't make this shit up, brother.
You should have told him. You should have told him the way you No, I didn't swipe my goddamn card. I didn't push nothing. I said, no, I'm cool. I just passed the shit on and let the shit ride because I'm not here for that. And it was a theatrical. The performance. Listen, man, the performance in that church was more like it wasn't a church service, anything that I was accustomed. It was more like a concert.
Oh yeah.
It was this big theatrical production.
Oh, certainly.
Piano playing and drums and the dancers and the choir came out and we stayed in there for about maybe 2 hours. And I said, hey, look, I got to get on back, because I got to go to work, so I got to fuck up out of there. So these mega churches, man, they're getting paid. They're getting PA motherfucking ID. They're getting paid. And you're exactly right. They want to know if you're going to join. They ask for your W-2s. You can bring it back with you the next time if you can't get it online and all this shit. And they would not let people out. They was holding people up from leaving. Literally.
So I'm curious.
Literally.
I'm curious. What happens if? Because I mean, I'd be damned if somebody asked me for my W-2. Like, what happens if you tell them to F off? Like, well, I'm just curious. Like,
oh man, some churches are asking for it to make you take age tests. Listen what I just said. Some churches are asking you to take age tests, so you know your wife gonna get heated up in there if she passed that goddamn test. So you know you take tests for venereal diseases. So that's why I call that motherfucker Creflo bow dollar. See, everybody don't know what he said. I always say terms that people don't know. A bow dollar is a dollar, but it's a coin. So he ain't really a whole dollar. He's a bow dollar. Anybody know what bow dollar mean?
No, I didn't know.
I don't.
Look up the word bow dollar, and you'll see it's a coin. See, you have the regular dollar, and then you have the coin dollar, like the candy 50 cents. They used to call it the candy 50 cents. So his name is Creflo bow dollar. Don't forget, man, that like if I went to a church. See, if I went to a church and I feel like the preacher was doing something, you know, to me as far as taking my money, let me just tell you anyway, people. If you go to church and the choir director hands look like a question mark with that broke down wrist, run, please run, because there's some things going on in that church you don't need to be involved in. So if you see the choir director, and any one of his hands look like a question mark, any hand, from the wrist to the hand, you know you ain't in the right place. So, but what I do want to tell you, if you feel like the church don't took too much money from you, and you feel like you've been used and abused. Now, if I was in my criminalistic mind back in the day, I go get me a couple counterfeit $100, and then I go and give it to them in church and get changed. Tell them I'm gonna give them $20, I get $80 back. I'm just saying, this is allegedly when I was in my criminalistic mind. If I feel like a church that don't fuck me over, I would cash my money at the church. You know, because when they see the $100, you know they gonna get happy. So you give 20 and you get 80 back.
Just keep doing that for a few months till you go.
Yeah, till you get all your money back.
You get your money back over time.
Yeah, you'll get your money back.
That probably would work back at a certain time frame. But I would tell you what I've seen and what I've experienced.
Oh yeah, you're right, General.
They have them little pins where they test at said church. They actually had them little pins for those who were giving money in cash. They were actually making sure that it was the real deal.
Hey, but General, a little Clorox and a little vinegar washing it in there, it passed the pen test. I'm just telling you, back in the day, I used to know all this stuff. Yeah, a little Clorox and a little vinegar, it passed the pen test. But anyway, so I'm just telling you, you wash your paper in the wash machine, it can pass in the pen test. But I'm just, don't be doing that, guys. I'm just saying, when I was back in the day, when I was like, playing poker and a house poker game, we had to really be thorough on how we test people's money, because people were coming there with fake money because they know they were going to lose their money. So I do know a lot of secrets when it comes to money. But they do have, just like General said, they have a teller machine in the church. If you walk in the church and you see a teller machine, run, because that church ain't playing.
Yeah, they got those too.
Yeah, if you see an ATM, I don't know what they call them now. Go ahead, General.
And they also have at the Potter's house. They also have hired contracted off-duty Dallas police officers to provide security.
Right. And I seen a Western Union and a place you can pay your bill at your church, because they want to know how do you really have to pay your bill. So they locked in, people. They're locked into your finances, because if you paying your bills at church, you can't lie to the church no more talking about you got to pay a bill. They can see it right on their computer. So church is different, man. I'm just telling you, churches have
Hold up. Y'all not joking, right?
No, I'm not joking.
No, I'm not.
No, hell no, I'm not joking. I mean, I put it in a joke form, but I'm not joking. They actually have.
You're joking about the AIDS test, hopefully.
The AIDS test? No, I'm not joking.
I'm
telling
checking
you
you for
what
STDs when you join the.
Look, you gotta understand, Bernard. When people get in church and they get in the spirit, they get to falling down. You know, some people get hurt in church. They get to falling down, falling all over people, and then you gotta pick big women up. You know, you ought to see some of them deacons. Now they have like bodybuilders and stuff to pick up the women and take them to the back. I'm talking about some of these low budget churches. They don't do that as much as these big mega churches. But sometimes, if you think I'm lying, T.D. Snake. One time that he got $1 million from Tyler Perry, and he got in the spirit. Tyler Perry put him in the spirit. So this is kind of bullshit that you got going on in churches. So I put it in comedy, like, you know, in the way I said. But this shit is actually, you can look on YouTube right now. Tyler Perry gave T.J. Jake some money and touched him on the head. And he went to trembling and talking in tongues and all that. So
I saw the image of that. I didn't see the actual video, and I didn't know why, but I just was sitting there. Why the hell is Tyler Perry laying hands?
Yeah,
on Jakes? I was like, that is way out of order.
Well, you know, Tyler Perry probably got better hands laying on. Oh, I ain't gonna say that, but anyway. You know where I'm going with that, but so what I'm just saying is, it's a lot of hands going laying on in them churches, brother, and I ain't talking about just for the women too. So y'all got to be careful. You know, everybody laying their hands on you in church with oil on them ain't trying to grease your forehead. So you have to really watch what you're doing. You know what I mean? Because you can come out there and your wrists could be looking like question marks.
Yeah, there's evil intent.
real quick. Real quick, if I
Especially when they
can,
start
I'd
playing
like to
that
circle
music.
back around.
They start playing that music. Dun, 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 dun. Boy, everybody lose their mind, boy. And when that music stopped, that pastor got control over everybody in that building.
Yeah, you're right. I remember one time I went to one of them churches.
Hold on.
Go ahead, General. Go ahead, get it in, General.
You drowning everybody out with that loud
I'm gonna
mic.
get in and I'm gonna go on mute and then
All
listen
right,
to
go
y'all.
ahead, General.
I'd like to circle back. I'd like to circle back around to the topic at hand. The reason why Reverend Creflo Dollar is attacking Mr. Samuels. You have to understand that he's the same guy that told his congregation that he needed a $47 million jet to travel around the world to deliver the word of God. Now, if that ain't a damn hustle, I don't know what it is. Why do you need to travel around the world to deliver the word of God when you got people right here at home that need to hear what you got to say? I don't want to. We have become such a blind society. We have become such a blind society that we can't even see the hustlers when they pop out. We can't even see it. We just go along to get along, and we listen to these motherfuckers. You can see the scam, but we just go along to get along. Don't even question it. We just let it happen.
Yeah, hey, shout out real quick. I got you next, JB. Shout out to the Swoovies in the building. He said Creflo is the last bastard that need to be giving out advice about women. I remember when he got booked for smacking up his daughter back in 2012. I forgot about that. When I was when I was working on the thumbnail, I did see his mug shot, and I didn't even know what it was for. I typed in his name and images and all of that. They showed a mug shot, and I didn't even further investigate that, but I do remember that did happen. That was a thing. That was a thing back in. Damn, it's going on 10 years from now, man. It's funny how, man, they can do all kind of stuff, and man, they just recover. It just takes like 2 weeks for them to just they just had like a bad news cycle for like a week, and then they just right back preaching like ain't nothing happened. It's like, yeah, they recover. They bounce back fast when they had them a little bad week or whatever. But shout out to the Swoovies in the building, and also shout out to I can't click on it because it's gone, but in my own lane said J Speed is right on pimps running the church. They are playing y'all. They won't let me pull up the whole damn super chat. But shout out to in my own lane. I can't even see what you type it there. Maybe I can find it right here. Give me 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. I think there it is right there. He says, J Speed is right on pimps running the church. We have an ex-pimp / drug dealer as a pastor of the biggest church in Cleveland, Mr. R.A. Vernon. All right, you just maybe it's public information. All right, shout out to you. Appreciate the super chat. And I think somebody else came through. I'll try to find it real quick. Whoever else. Hope I ain't missed nobody. But go ahead, JB. You got the floor. You got the mic. Oh, wait, hold on. Well, damn, JYB haven't stand up. Go ahead. Well, no, I'm gonna go to JYB, then JB. Y'all confusing me right there. Go ahead, JYB.
Okay.
Hey, wait. Do you got
Thank you
YouTube
so much.
on in the background?
No.
Or whatever background noise that was just disappeared. So that's cool. So
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's just we can hear something else.
You definitely have something playing in the background.
Yes, dude. I can hear YouTube. I can hear my voice in the background. You got to
Yeah, he got something going.
Yeah, you got a delay, brother. You'll be all right. I know you knew.
Basically, you got to turn off everything other than the StreamYard. You probably got YouTube on your TV. You got something going on. Just shut everything down and only listen through StreamYard while you're on the air. I'm gonna go to JB real quick. Hopefully, you got it figured out by the time you come back.
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to say I think it's dope how Kwame Brown got everybody saying get along, go along, get along nowadays. So shout out to Kwame Brown. But honestly, here's something, Bernard. I think that Black women are some of the easiest consumers, right, to market to. This is a well-known thing, right? Like they're some of the easiest consumers to market to. And then when you add the church factor into it, where you realize how easy it is to sell to Black women as long as you tell them what they want to hear, right? Like it's so easy. I mean, that's why Derrick Jaxn was extremely successful, and that's why brothers like Creflo, he'll be forever rich, right? As long as he continues to preach that type of message. Because you'll notice the difference is when you look at, Black men, for example. Even if you tell Black men what they want to hear, that's not necessarily what's going to make you successful. But for some reason, when you look at the Black female demographic, man, you just tell them whatever they want to hear, and then you add the church factor. Why do you think it is that some of the most failures of Black women, are the primary ones saying, "I want a God-fearing man"? I always find that fascinating. Like, your baby mama, you got 3 baby daddies, and you talking about you want a God-fearing man, right?
Since when?
Exactly, right? But it's always fascinating to see that disconnect, that cognitive dissonance. Like, that's always fascinating to me. So, I'm never surprised by guys like this at this point, because it's like it's just a hustle. They're just basically selling to the crowd. That's Black women are
gullible.
But they're very gullible. They're extremely gullible. They're easy to sell to, and even if they know you're lying to them, they'd rather you lie to them than tell them the truth, and they'll pay you for it. They'll make you rich for it. Okay, Derrick Jaxn, you can hate the brother, but he's driving a Lamborghini. Okay, and most people are not.
I could tell when a girl I've been with go to church a lot, because when you're hitting it right, she start calling you, "Oh Jesus, oh Jesus," So y'all guys,
I think they do that anyway.
So no, but no, that mean they got some church in them. That mean they got some church in them. Regardless if they ain't going, but they got some church in them. They start calling you Jesus and God.
They probably had the church in them at some point.
That has some church in it. And they're thinking about the freak of the week, the preacher in the first place. Preacher's a freak. You know that, right?
I don't know that.
I don't.
But I'm just saying, you got women preachers too, Bernard.
Hey, how do you know that, OG?
Huh? Because they got women preachers.
Oh, okay.
You got to understand, brother. Don't be trying to get me on that Rainbow Coalition now.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
So what I'm trying to say is, you got women preachers. They freaks too. You see how they dress? Go on the internet right now and look at some of the Black women preachers and see how they dress. They dress just like I don't know. They dress like they just came from a nightclub.
So actually, to that point, are we even supposed to be having Black female preachers?
No, but the Bible said don't. But I mean, you have everything else now. So that everything is in the art of war. This you hear what I say? I say the art of war, not the art of war is different. you can have anything. You got equal rights, so you can't deny women from being on the pulpit
Yeah, but
now.
biblically, women are not even supposed to be preachers. That's
You're right.
That's
But
another
see,
failure. That's another failure of the black church. Whenever I see all these black
Well, we
preachers, like
well
it
we
just
have gotten away.
go ahead.
We have totally gotten away. We have totally churches now just like going to a club. The greater sector of society has gotten away from it. That's why churches has become so secular. And as far as a lot of sisters talking about they're looking for a godly man, the reason why they start saying that they're looking for a godly man is because they know that that man possesses the 7 basic values that a man should come with. And those basic values are what? Protection, provision, discipline, order, guidance, leadership, and structure. They understand that. So when they get done being out there on the train, on the old train, that's what they want. They want to curl back and find a man that has those 7 values, those 7 basic values.
and
Because
they get
now
an
they
extra
need that
one.
structure. Now
They
they
get an
need
extra.
that
Oh,
structure,
go
that
ahead, Jeff.
leadership, that discipline, because they're getting older and they're aging out, and now they need somebody to take. I told you guys, and I'm gonna pass you back to my OG. I told you guys in my retirement class, it is 37 blacks in my retirement class from the United States Army. We're all above the age of 45. I think there are a couple of that are like 41, 42. The women in that, there are like 17 or 18 sisters. It's about half and half. And they're all senior enlisted, a couple of officers. And I overheard them have a conversation. And one of the ladies, a couple of ladies were saying, girl, I don't know what I'm going to do now that I'm getting ready to retire from the Army. You know, I'm going to take a pay cut. And I guess I'm going to have to settle down now and find me a man to help take care of me and these kids. Do you get what I'm saying?
I got you, Jim.
Now she got
Damn.
motherfucking 4. She got motherfucking 4 children. Been in the Army. She been in the military for 27 years. She's got 4 children, step children, 11 through 18. And now you've been on the train, never been married, your career, and now that your career is coming to an end, you know that your money is about to change. Now you got to find you a man to help take care of you and your children. Does that make sense to you?
Don't make sense to me.
You done aged out. You done aged out. Your youthful years, and when your body was about something, when you had the looks and you had the shape, and she's not a bad looking woman now. It's just the fact that hell, you're 47 years old. You got 4 kids by 3 different men. This is her admission, not mine.
Not people in the military don't have 3 different men.
Shit, me.
Oh,
But at
I
the
ain't
end
know
of the
that,
day,
General.
at the end of the day, this is the ideology that a lot of sisters have. Not just the bottom basic sisters working at fucking Burger King flipping fries or managing McDonald's. These are career-oriented professional women that have had careers for 25 plus years. They're of that same mindset. Same mindset. I gotta
mean
find
Uncle
me a
Sam?
man now. Yeah, man, look, don't y'all get it confused. The army is the military is a mere minute sector of civilian life. Whatever you got on the outside, believe you got it right in the military. The Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard. You got holes out here in the regular street. You got holes in the Army. You got holes in the Navy. You got bigger holes in the Air Force. I'm telling you what I know, not what I heard, what I've experienced over my career in the military. I know of women right now that are serving in the military, have been in the military for more than 20 plus fucking years, and they got motherfucking multiple kids by multiple niggas.
All right, we about to go to
Game changer.
No, you got it. You got it, J. Well, I thought it was JYB, but now it's JAB. You the same person that was just up here, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Can you hear me?
Get the
Yeah,
shine
go
off
ahead.
your-
Go ahead. You got
Nah.
the you got the mic. Thank you.
Hit the shine, but nah, hit the shine.
Well, excuse me. No one else can have chess pieces on their avatar, brother.
No.
Respect, gang changer, man. I appreciate you, though. But
Go ahead,
let me start off by saying,
appreciate.
hey, Bernard, thank you for giving me opportunity to speak. And I appreciate being on the board with you guys, man. But here's something I just kind of want to throw in. So with me, I actually grew up in like the evangelical white side of the church. So, and my parents grew up in the black side.
Sorry for
They
that,
grew me
brother.
up. They grew me up in the white side. And let me tell you the extremes, because both sides have extremes. And basically, my dad's a minister. I ain't gonna get into too much about that. But long story short, here's what it is: the white side, they wife swap. If you want to go to the extreme, like they do wife swapping stuff. The black side is more based on like history, where like at one point, the black minister was considered like that was almost like a badge. Like being a black minister at one point, there were times during like racial segregation. My dad would tell me how like the racist white people, like the people who are against blacks, if you said you were a minister, they actually went like light on you. They didn't go as hard. They actually have a little respect because you're under the minister, badge. But going back to it, what a lot of people found out later on was that being a minister had power. And a lot of men start saying, you know what? If I want to be heard, maybe I should go back to school, get an education and start, ministering the word. I could get some money from that. It look like there's money in this.
Time out. You don't have to have an education to preach. So
no, I was gonna get into that.
I know what you mean. Like if it's a certain realm of it, I forgot. It's a certain title that yes, you do have to have a degree to have a certain title.
Yeah, I was about to get into that.
Yeah, just being a reverend, you ain't even got to be able to fucking read. You could just walk in there. If people want to put up
I was
and
about to
listen
get into
you,
that. Like,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a thing called ordination. And if the right pastor gives you an ordination, you can start ministering under his group or whatever. And that's one way how a lot of people got in the door of ministering, was like they were using ordinations, which was, another way of saying, I approve this brother. This brother went through my group, whatever. And at one point, it was just a thing of who you knew, like it is in anything. Who get you through the door. Now, a lot of people like, man, the church is red with pastors and ex-drug dealers and pimps. Well, I kind of just went over that. Like, when you look at it, a lot of men seen an opening to, make money, do what they do. Now, it don't make it right. I'm just saying. But for me, the reason why I'm mentioning and speaking on this is because I have a little small channel and I'm not trying to plug it. But basically, the reason why I started the channel was because I started seeing some things that wasn't right. And it just kind of woke me up to the truth. Like, I need to be, in line with the word and not with the pastor. And, that's why I'm kind of speaking, because it's like, it's a lot of crooked pastors. I know some things about, a lot of organizations. I'm also in Atlanta. So I know a lot of, I got footwork in the street, So the only reason why I'm speaking is because I'm just kind of shedding light with, my dad always told me there's good and there's bad on both sides. The extreme of the white side was, the wife swapping. The extreme on the black side was, sleeping with all the women and doing, foul stuff. So I just kind of want to add that in there.
Yeah, that you hit it right on the mark. You hit it right on the mark, brother. I mean, I'm sorry you had to go in on that white side because you could be traumatic from that experience. But I'm glad you got back on the black side and you started seeing that both sides were really fucked up. Especially in 2021. I mean, the churches had. I mean, come on now, come on. They using trap music in church hymns now. Well, I mean, what do you expect? You walk into church, you just left the nightclub, and you listen to the same damn music, and and they pretty much twerking and all that other stuff right there in them damn gowns, and so I mean, come on now, y'all act like I don't know how the last time y'all been in the church, man, but hell. I hadn't been in the church so long. I don't know if they got pool tables in there or not. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, you go in churches now, you can get anything that you can pay your bills there. They even got the church bank. I mean, they got everything in their church for you for finance because they want to control your finance, and then you want to get blood tested because the preacher want to know that he don't want to, you be contaminating the flock. You know what I mean? So he will make sure. He want to make sure.
I still don't believe that one, man.
Hey, look, man, I'm telling you, I can prove it to you, brother. I can prove it to you.
Testing at the church, like that's just.
They don't actually test at the church, Bernard. But what they do, they tell you to bring your blood test. When they have that little meeting in there with the minister or the secretary or whatever, so there's so many viruses and diseases out there, and we are and close range with each other. And when people get to shout, people get to shout, and they get to slob, and they get to speaking in tongues and all that kind of stuff. So you got to understand there's some fluids in plain view are passed around in the church. So that's regardless of the stuff is passed around in the back of the church. So you got to understand, man, they got a lot of bullshit going on in church. I went to a Catholic church in 1992, and soon the damn priest got off the what's his name, he went right back in the ice box and popped a can of goddamn beer. I didn't even know they drunk beer on the goddamn, and I was like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? I mean, you just got through with all that holy stuff that I couldn't understand what the fuck he was saying in the first place. So I felt right in place because most people don't understand what the fuck I'm saying. So I was at his church and he was saying all that shit in Latin. Now, I don't understand no damn Latin. So he could be telling you kiss his ass, anything. And people, they're sitting there doing the crosses and shit. But it was surprising to me that a minister, a priest, could go and pop a can and then offer you some.
Hey, OG,
you
don't
that's
like
why.
that.
Hold on, we're gonna
JB.
go to. Wait, hold on.
That's
I was about
called
to
being
pass the mic to.
sanctified without being sanctimonious.
I was about to pass the mic to Game Changer real quick. Then I'll go to constructive consultant. Then JB.
I just want to ask OG a question real quick, Bernard. Just real quick.
I know, but his answer ain't gonna be real quick.
Yes, it will. It's gonna be quick as hell, Bernard. It's gonna be quick as you can get that grease off your goddamn forehead. Go ahead, ask the question there, JB.
Man, I got a fan down here today, man.
You gonna need two. You gonna need two. You like me. Your skin is real shiny, brother. That means you gonna live for a long time. You gonna stay young and you ain't gonna crack. It ain't no insult or anything. You gonna stay young for long. I'm 62 years old, and I'm telling you, goddamn it. Other than this bag under my eye because I've been sleeping too damn long this morning, I'm cool. Go ahead, JB.
You don't look a day over 75.
You right about it. You know what? That's better than most people say. They say about 82. Go ahead, JB.
I'm just curious. So you don't like it when the church girls drop it low for Jesus?
Say what again?
You don't like it when the church girls drop it low for Jesus?
Drop it low?
For Jesus.
Oh, drop it while it's hot. Yo, I mean, if you gonna drop it while it's hot, you might as well do it for.
I'm saying you don't like it when they drop it low for Jesus, though.
I don't know what that low part mean, brother. You scared me with that word. You know what I mean? I go with the hot word, but you say drop it low. Let's like download some shit like that. I want you to stay with the hot part. I can deal with the hot shit, but that low shit is kind of scaring me. And you, especially you say you was over there in Atlanta too. Anyway, I spent a lot of time in Atlanta. Most of my adult life I spent in Atlanta. So you gotta watch that low word. When anytime you use the LO, it better be a V come behind it. That low shit with the W, we don't deal with that shit. So I drop it while it's hot. That what you was trying to say?
Game Changer, go ahead and save us, Game Changer. Pull us back, man. Pull us back.
Okay. Save us, brother Game Changer. Save us.
Yeah. So back when the general was here, he talked about 7 principles. I'm not really sure what those were, but I think the reason that JB was bringing up that the women say out of nowhere, I want a church man, I want a good Christian man, or something like that. Whether they say it when they're young or old, basically they just want a guy that works off of a template, a guy that has like a life template, a playbook that they have already read. And the Christian man, he has a playbook that they have already read. It's in the Bible. Like, okay, this is what we know. There's full transparency on him. So if they want to hustle him, or if they just want to, get a marriage out of him, or just get the bag off of him, they know exactly his playbook. Now, outside of that, if you're not in a church like that, or you're just some regular dude, like take Ramil, for example, they don't have his playbook. They have Alan Roger Curry's playbook. It's in mode 1. A lot of women feel comfortable when they have your playbook. And this isn't a shot at Alan Roger Curry. I'm just saying, like, you know,
His playbook, his game plan is in a book, so they can look and see. They can read exactly what he about. They feel like with the church guy, they can read or just have a general understanding just what he's supposed to be about.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they can behave accordingly because they're not on the playbook. You know, they read the Christian playbook, but that doesn't mean that they have to play by those rules. So that's all that's about. That's what I want to say about that. They go for the guys whose playbook they understand. And it really doesn't matter what religion to certain women. They're like, okay, you know, this guy, his playbook is the Quran. This guy, his playbook is the Bible. Like, no matter what, we have your playbook.
Right on. Right on. All right, go ahead. Constructive consulting. You ain't said nothing in a minute. You was trying to jump in. Go ahead. You got it.
I want to pose the question to the panel members. How much do we think the effect of the passage of like affirmative action, Roe v. Wade, and all these other things as far as strides with women's rights, how much do we think that that's aided to the deleterious impact of the negative impacts to the church?
Greatly, because you have this is what our people have to understand when it comes to the Black church. The Black church has a major influence on Black society in a whole. Why? Because it speaks majority to the Black women who also control what? The children. So when you have a congregation that is primarily made up of single mothers, let's be clear. The Black church is primarily made up of these old mamas. That is the majority of the Black church. So when you got them being indoctrinated in kind, they indoctrinate the children. Therefore, they have a direct impact on Black society. I mean, you don't really have to go to the mamas. All you got to do is go to whoever the mamas listen to. You don't have to go to them. You can go to whoever they congregate together to go and listen to. And I think these pastors, these preachers, these people who run these churches, I think they have been a detriment to Black society all around, all across the board, because of the messages that they put out. Because we spoke a little while ago, the general was here, and he spoke about how the church has gotten away from the message. I would venture to say the church has gotten away from the Bible, because a lot of the things they talk about have nothing to do with biblical theory, has nothing to do with theology, has nothing to do with what the Bible teaches. They talk about other things. In fact, the Bible is probably more realistic and red pill than the message that the preachers preach. Because true. They don't teach women being under their husbands. They don't teach women getting married. They don't teach family, legacy, lineage. All of that is inside of the Bible, but they do not preach it. That is why I say they have gotten away from the Bible, not just the message, not just the theology. They have totally gotten away from the Bible. But I'm going to say this, I'm going to shut up because I got to get off. Could you please share my screen? Thank you, Brother Bernard. We will be going in depth in this tonight, good folks. Tonight, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the TPOT YouTube page. We will be talking about the Bible, the Black folk, and the BS. And my special guest will be none other than Spiritual Logic, aka Hulk, and the one and only Rod of God. So make sure you are there. I will leave y'all folks with this to go back to the title. What people like Creflo Dollar and Jackson and their ilk, what they have in common is that they are very, very good and very adept at pretending to be the men that they tell these women to pray for. That's all. But peace, Brother Bernard. Peace, everybody on the panel, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. I will see y'all on the other side. And hopefully, I'll see y'all tonight.
Right on.
Peace, folks.
All right, have a good show.
Right on. Shout out to Brother Xavier.
Do y'all agree with that point?
Only from TPOT Media. Open your minds.
Shout out to Brother Xavier. When SKC your right hand man, you get cool stuff like that, I guess. But anyway, JB, you got the floor, you got the mic.
No, I was just asking, like, do y'all actually agree with the last point X made though? Because I don't know if I agree with that. Like the point about these pastors like Creflo basically looking like the women, the men that they're telling the women to pray for.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. When he referenced Derrick Jaxn too. Yes, Derrick Jaxn presents himself like the type of man that these women want. And I think pastors in many ways, they do the same thing. They're that good-hearted, God-fearing, praying man that they want, that's going to come and just bring all the moral stability to their life and all of that. Yeah, they present themselves as that.
I agree with that aspect of it, but the reality is though, when you look at their actual actions, like what they actually end up doing, they end up doing a lot of the same stuff, a lot of the same worldly stuff that everybody else does. Like
you missed the key word. You missed the key word. Hold on. You missed the key word. They present themselves like that. That don't mean they live in it. It just means they.
I see.
Yeah. They present, just like Derrick Jaxn wasn't living what he presented. But the thing is, they present it. They put themselves as that shiny object up on the hill that the women want. So yeah, there's an aspect of that all damn day.
And think about it, JB. Ministers almost like a side chick. You always getting together with them for good times. If you look at a minister, he's always dressed. He's always in a position of power. And when you speaking to him as the power when you're a female. And so that, believe it or not, is a turn on to women, married, unmarried, regardless, because that's part of that, what Bernard was just saying, that that women are attracted to power, man, and status. I know me, Mr. Curry, we go at it on that. We difference from that, but I'm never go different from that. Women do go for status. I mean, it's been proven over and over. And so if you the biggest star in the building, you know a lot of stuff gonna be directed straight at you. You know what I mean? I mean, you running everything. Everything is under you. You going in somebody else's house and you on top of that mountain. Women are attracted to that. That's why you had women coming when I was working in a nightclub. They go straight from the nightclub on Saturday night and go straight into the church with the same outfit on, knowing they don't did something, up in that club all night long, dancing and sweating, and they'll go sit in the front seat and cross their legs so that, the minister can look at that little thigh under there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff goes on in church. When I tell you, I'm a comedian by heart, man, but I was raised to be a preacher. Really. I can get down. Like Martin Luther King. I can throw my voices all kinds of ways. If I really wanted to get into controlling situations, man, I can really get down in that church. You know what I mean? But because my mother was an evangelist, and when I say I was born in a church, half our house was a church. And so I know how they get down. You know what I mean? The ministers get down. Because my grandmother used to speak against them. And so you got to understand that that's why she didn't never fall under the power of a man authority as far as the church, because she knew exactly where, it was coming from. And so, I mean, if you look at it for what it is, man, it's turned into a club. And then you was talking about earlier, you have the low scale churches, you have the ghetto churches, and then you have the mega churches are connected to the white churches. And you cannot, unless you go through their schools or go through some kind of school, you can't be connected with that club. You understand? You got to have a certain eloquent about yourself and a certain education about yourself to, to fall into that club. And that's when you pushing big. You see them. You see what was that thing come on TV? They still have it today, where they have all these different ministers coming from all over the world, but they all in that one club. I remember when Reverend Price he wanted his son. He asked the minister, can his son marry the one of the white guy's daughter? And they split up. They throwed him out of the church. And he went on a campaign for about 2 years. You can go back and see it. Because he asked the minister, would God allow his son to marry his daughter? And he said no. You don't mix races. And that's that, what they call that, PA, whatever the hell that is on TV, 24-hour church on TV, where they have these big mega ministers, visiting all over. That stuff is real, man. It's a club. And that's one of the, that's one of the things that we're not really looking at. It's not really church anymore, because back in the day, black people, they separated themselves from a lot of the white organizations of churches, and they started their new churches. That's why we have all these new different types of church, because we were not allowed to have a certain position in the white churches, so we came up with our others. And so that's why we got 20 different names in one church name. It could be called Soup Bowl Bone, Bless of God, Christ, Dripping Down the Neck. One damn, I'm serious, one damn church have 20 different names. They have it all together, Episcopal and all that. You got to understand, everything that we really do in this country, most of our culture from this country, it came because of we were not allowed in their culture, so we came up with our own stuff. So it's always gonna look different. You go to a funeral in white churches and go on in black churches, it's totally damn different. White people, get your ass in there, get your ass out of there. Black people, we gotta have a concert, barbecue, everything up in the church.
Yeah. All right, man. We getting to that time. It's getting time to wrap it up. I've been doing 4-hour shows. I'm getting out of here at 3 hours. But Snuggles came through at the buzzer. Shout out to Snuggles. Appreciate you coming through at the buzzer while I'm trying to shut it on.
Hi, I'm Snuggles.
Shout out to you. She says, that's like giving head to your boyfriend, then go and kiss a person you have a crush on, then give them more head equals relation club in church.
That's why you got pumped and dumped, Snuggles.
Snuggles act like she went into details. She act like she know a lot about this.
Yeah.
Snuggles got pumped and dumped. Don't forget.
I like to get the backstory on that.
Never forget. Never forget.
Snuggles is straight outing herself.
Yeah, I want to get the backstory on it. I mean, shit, hey, do some shout outs, Snuggles.
It seemed very barely related to the point. She just wanted to talk about
that part.
Yeah, she's gonna talk about giving head to the boyfriend and kissing her crush.
I guess say spell the rod, spell the child. Shit. That's a whole new meaning right there, that Snuggles. That's a whole new meaning there.
Yeah, she said she saw it in the movie. No, you
I saw it in the movie. Oh, okay. Well,
I think you lived it. I think you lived it, Snuggle. One thing real quick, because every now and then when I periodically visit my block list, I see people on it that shouldn't be there. That one chick, Janelle Santos, I disagree with about 70-80% of everything that you say, but she ain't never said nothing worthy of getting blocked. I wish I would quit just blocking people because I don't like them. I think is that BAP? Game Changer, you probably recognize the face. Is that the chick? Didn't she go by the name BAP? Game Changer? Anyway, Game Changer's not with us. I think she was on my block list. There'd be a lot of women on my block list that, as far as I know, don't deserve to be there. And there'd be some guys like GA Boy, and yeah, GA Boy be getting his white knight on every now and then. But yeah, quit blocking people unless they're saying non-YouTube friendly stuff. It's my job to block people. Y'all can hide them. Time them out. Time them out. I do the blocking. Y'all do the timing out. I don't want to start de-wrenching people because that would be unfair because I don't know who's doing it. So I just can't just start mass taking wrenches. So yeah, quit hiding people on my channel. Only I hide people. Y'all can time them out much as y'all want. If they're saying something crazy down there or something inappropriate, I time them out. I hide them. All right.
Hey, but now I want to ask you something before you go.
All right.
I want to ask you something. Like when somebody go on your comment section, and sometimes I do go through and I read, and if they say something stupid, I usually reply to them in a very tricky kind of way. Do you take comments down?
No. I don't know why that's a problem. Maybe I got certain words that I want hid from the channel. I got a list of words that I just to try to keep.
Oh yeah, I know that's a default thing. Yeah, but I try not to use them type of. The way I come at them is totally different.
Yeah,
and but I see a lot of my responses is not on.
Yeah, a lot
some
of
people I respond
a lot
to.
of people have asked me about that. I don't know what it is. Only way I delete a comment is if it's just something just completely just ridiculous. Like if somebody is basically like they got to be doing something. They got to be clown. I don't put it like this. I don't delete comments. Just
okay,
pretty much just rest assured. You know, if I delete one comment per week, that's a lot. So
Come clean, Bernard. Come clean.
Would you say no? Because JB even said the same thing to me that some of his stuff was getting it just wasn't showing up.
Yeah, because I know
you got to go click the top comment or the most recent comments, and then you might be able to see it. But I don't know.
The
weird
thing was that like I had one comment where I responded to somebody, and then we had a whole back and forth in the comment section. It was actually a productive back and forth, and then a bunch of my comments in the back and forth were deleted. So the conversation just looked really weird.
Yeah, stupid. Yeah, like Curry, he said something. We had a you know, he was like, well, JSP didn't say anything that I believe. You know how he talk. That made any damn sense, you know. And then I went in on his ass and showed him I made a lot of damn sense. It just won't sell his damn book, but I made a lot of sense. So, you know. But anyway, so I put things on the microscope with my little country ass brain. I'm able to take things and twist them and make them funny and shoot it back at your ass. And you might don't like them because you make your book sale go down, but it be the truth. You know, the people had to decide. You know, but all of a sudden my comment went away. But you kept my damn comment up there with the damn 6-pack of strawberry sodas. So you kept that one up.
Nothing to do with it.
Okay, I got you. I believe you.
Somebody only way like if somebody is just a full blown troll that just came through just to say, yeah. I mean, they got to be trolling and or saying something that's not YouTube completely not YouTube friendly. But I kind of let it ride. If YouTube.
Well, you know, I ain't gonna say, but nah, you just already know me. I'm very tactful with my words. And the little ones I do know that you know that I'm not gonna say anything that would get anybody channel busted. I sneak from the back door or on the side, you know.
Oh, you like back doors, OG?
You say what that again? Hey brother, you act like you trying to get me in some goddamn tap dance type shit. I see that right now. You know damn well that anybody on these goddamn 2U Street don't like no damn back door. I don't like back doors, windows. I don't like to slide under a car. I don't like goddamn raggedy shoes. I don't like goddamn guys who even say draws. I wear briefs, goddamn it. So any of that other shit y'all talking about like that, that's some new shit that y'all do. Old schools don't do that kind of shit right there. We sit around and laugh at y'all ass. Cause so let me just tell you, brother, I don't like shitty deals.
Hey, OG, let me ask you.
Yes, sir.
Do you eat Skittles?
Huh? No. Matter of fact, I gave something to my clients the other night because somebody, you know, donated to my house, and their ass went a little wild around here. And I was like, goddamn! I gave them goddamn Skittles, and it's like it worked on them like meds. So no, we don't like Skittles in the house, brother.
Okay, you was trying to get them to chase the rainbow.
No, brother. The rainbow on the rainbow. I really know about it when Jesse Jackson was doing that. The new shit y'all got going on with the motherfuckers wearing glass slippers and all that shit. No, we old school. We don't play that kind of shit. We don't wear dresses. That's that new generation wearing dresses and flags and shit with 500,000 colors in it, riding around in the goddamn car with the same flags in their cars and shit. No, the old generation, we just don't play that kind of shit, man. I'm telling you.
I think OG just likes Reese's cups. That's it.
The Reese's cup. See, you trying to tell your secret, brother. I can tell you right now, you one of them old butt lickers, ain't you? you just try. Why don't you just come on out, JB, and just say you're a butt licker? You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. If you spend a little time in prison, we'll give you a goddamn get out of jail free card.
All right, bro. We out of here. Yeah.
All right, JB. I know you were just playing. Take it easy, brother. Take it easy there, Bernard.
See, Snuggles the one coming out the closet. That shit you typing right there. Y'all can Google that if y'all want to, or YouTube.
I'm not. 2 girls, 1 cup.
Yeah, y'all can. Yeah, that.
Don't
Yeah, look that up, and then I apologize for sending you in that direction. But all right, I'm
gonna look that shit up.
Don't look it up, OG.
Yeah. Don't look it up.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
okay.
Thanks everybody for coming through. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on the show, man. Have a good one.
No doubt.